It's been a while since I've last made a production. I believe it was back in April when I made my last production. But it's not unusual for me to take a hiatus. But anyhow, let me just get right into it. And in typical formation, for those of you who appreciate my productions on this channel, then I want you to start off by getting my likes up. Give me the big thumbs up. Furthermore, share the productions to someone who might need to listen to this. And thirdly, the standard links are in the description box for those who are true supporters of the content made on this channel. You can feel free to leave a donation via Cash App, PayPal, or both. Whatever size of your choosing, you can feel free to leave a donation. Now, with that being stated, I took the time to gather up some video clips. And this video is going to be directly toward black women, and most likely I'm going to be here for a little while, so you might want to hold on to your seats. The first two video clips that I've gathered are from a live stream from a brother that goes by the name of Amiri Brown, formerly known as the Great Liberators. Now, this is a black man who speaks up on the behalf of black women, and although there are many talking points that he espouses that I agree with, there's also that much more that I disagree with. And just to give you a little history, or just to go ahead and just some insight, Amiri Brown typically, or often, or if not always, closes out his live streams by saying, "Make Black America great again or die trying." So by that notion, we can conclude that he wants to see black society built up. But this is also the same man who is in support of black women divesting. How do you have two in the same video? I mean, how does that even make sense? I don't know, but this is what he has stated out of his mouth. Now, I didn't take the time to record that or to screen capture him saying this, but he said this plenty of times in plenty of live streams. Furthermore, just to give you a little history on this man, this is the same man who I first caught wind of him back in 2018, who was featured heavily on Cynthia G's channel. Why? Because he espouses, and still does to this day, the very same talking points that she does. Maybe he's not to the same extreme that she is, but they run adjacent pretty much, or parallel along the same lines. In 2018, I believe it was sometime either in early to late spring when he was being featured on Cynthia G's videos. And she would pretty much let him have the floor. Sometime in late 2018, when she got impregnated by Robert Perkins, that's when they had their fallout. Now, I don't even think that was what was the cause of the fallout. I believe the cause of the fallout was the fact that she was going in on the Advice show for being with a white Hispanic woman. At least if I can remember, if my memory serves me right, that's what I remember Amiri Brown stating after they had their fallout. Now, once again, I want you to listen, remind you of the closeout that he uses in his live streams, or toward the end of his live streams. "Make Black America great again or die trying." Now, once you can align yourself with a Cynthia G, that right there most certainly is suspect as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there's really not much else that needs to be said when you align yourself with someone like that. Now, many of y'all will try to cloak yourselves under the guise of the bullshit of what she states, or how she was once, at one point in time, black male identified. She stated she was once, at one point in time, black male identified. Now, if you're dumb enough to believe that, I got a bridge in Brooklyn I'll sell you for an even cheaper price. I've been in these YouTube streets for years, a lot longer than many of you. I've been on this panel for over a decade. I've seen a lot of folks come and go. So when I sit back and I listen to these talking points and how she'll say this, I remember when Cynthia G first got on YouTube. She's been on YouTube since 2015. And I'm going to tell you this much right now. She was not then, nor has she ever been, black male identified. Not once. Now, I will say this much. She did go in on white supremacy in her earlier years when she was on YouTube. Yes, she did do that. But she was never then, nor at any point in time, black male identified. And once again, for those of you who are stupid enough to believe in that shit, I got a bridge in Brooklyn I'll sell you for an even cheaper price. Cynthia G is the very same female who got online back in 2015, and she's been making this comparison about thug hunters and black men. Taking a small group of homosexuals who engage in gay porn with white guys and wants to compare that to the collective of heterosexual masculine black men. Go figure. Go make sense out of that shit. As if we're sitting around here aligning ourselves with, I mean, come on, it doesn't even make any sense, but this is what she stated, or this is the comparison that she has made back in those days. Furthermore, she stated this in a video herself. And I remember seeing that shit years ago. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I got a video in the archives that I've set to private about her talking about this. Because this is the very same female that talked about black men being so weak, dominated and conquered and dusty. Don't get it twisted. These talking points that she's using now, they didn't just originate a year ago. She's always had this belief of black men, that you're conquered, dominated, and dusty. This is what she's been espousing these talking points since 2015. And went so far to say you are so conquered and defeated by white men that you might as well bend over and spread your butt cheeks and let these white guys run up inside of you. This is the shit she said. So once again, for those of you who run around saying she was black male identified, I go back and tell you she is not now, nor has she ever been black male identified. Now some of y'all gonna come to me and say, well, hold on a second. How can you say that she once wasn't when she got impregnated and has a child by Robert Perkins? Well, I'll go ahead and give you another comparison. If that is a reason for you to think that legitimizes her statement about being black male identified, then I guess the very same white women who are having sex with the black slaves, they were black male identified too, now weren't they? See, once again, if you're dumb enough to believe that, I got a bridge in Brooklyn I'll sell you for a real good price, for an even cheaper deal. And I state all this to reference that, listen, regardless of whatever Cynthia G states, which her position is, her actions have always spoken volumes to where she truly stands. So I don't care or give a damn about what she actually says and where she aligns herself. Your actions speak louder than your words ever can. And by her actions, it has always been known that she has always had an outright hatred of black men. It is just that simple. The reason why I state this is because when you can find a black man like Amiri Brown that would sit up and align himself with an individual like this, then he most certainly becomes questionable. Now, I do understand, and before I even get into this video clip here, or the two video clips that I want to let y'all listen to, I do understand that, Womansphere, formerly known as Black Womansphere, now she goes by the name Womansphere, has been on a rampage going in on Taz exclusives, Nyla Vibes, and Cynthia G. And now you have a lot of these black men who are now coming to her aid, simply backing her. And see, I'm going to tell you this much. I haven't looked into too much of it. I've looked at and listened to bits and pieces. I don't really have time like I used to sit down and just watch everything that unfolds. So many live streams take place. I don't even got time for it. It's just not, it's counterproductive, to be honest. Especially when there's nothing being talked about. But listening to bits and pieces of these live streams, I remember shortly after Kevin Samuels passed away. And this is when this whole thing started, when she really started turning up the heat on these individuals. She made a video about Kevin Samuels, or made a live stream, I should say. But she didn't really go in on him. what she talked about is, yeah, he's done a lot of foul things, but it pales in comparison. And I'm kind of paraphrasing it. I'm not quoting it verbatim. She kind of mentioned how the stuff that Nyla Vibes, Taz Exclusives, the shit that they have done is far worse than anything that Kevin Samuels could have ever done. Now, I didn't get to that entire live stream. I just looked at bits and pieces of it, and I said, okay, I kind of see the strategy of what's going on here. Then I seen some brothers actually state how they never really had a problem with womansphere. They just disagreed with her talking points, and she's actually a pretty cool person. She's honest about her life, or whatever the case may be. And listen, maybe her being honest about her life, maybe that is true. It is what it is. But I'm going to tell you, black men, something. Y'all better be careful on who you're aligning yourselves with. Y'all better be very careful on who you're aligning yourselves with. The enemy of my enemy is not my friend. I don't subscribe to that notion, especially when you have made it known and perfectly clear that you are not my friend. And for some of you brothers who have given womansphere a pass, because, well, she's cool now because she's going after Nyla Vibes and Cynthia G and Taz Exclusives, remember, she was the very same female, and I still got the production up, who went in on a Maud Arbery. Didn't even have her facts straight, didn't know what the fuck she was talking about, but she went out the way to defend two hillbillies, two rednecks, before she would even come to the defense of that brother. And as a matter of fact, when it come to find out that what she was talking about was completely inaccurate, tell me where in that one point in time did she actually make a video retracting what she actually stated? She felt sorry for the McMichaels, saying that the father was being attacked. Now, mind you, they were the ones chasing this dude down in a pickup truck. That doesn't classify as an attack under her circumstances. Getting out of that pickup truck to go follow somebody, that doesn't with a shotgun in your hand, that doesn't classify as an attack on according to her. But see, she never retracted that statement as far as I'm concerned. And many of you brothers sat back there and y'all gave her a pass. Because now she going after Cynthia G and Nyla Vibes and Taz Exclusives. You see, when she sat up here and she kind of went light on Kevin Samuels, didn't really talk too much about it, just said, well, he done some foul things, but it pales in comparison to what y'all have done. I kind of know the strategy of what you're doing. You're trying to maintain a level of consistency while not pissing off the people who are now backing you. Because you know how much these Negroes love them some Kevin Samuels. May he rest in peace. I was no fan of him. I didn't support the guy. But at the same time, I don't hate the guy. I just disagreed with some of his tactics. Many of his tactics, which I actually agree with. But that's beside the point. Bottom line is, I know the strategy she was using when she went in kind of lightly on Kevin Samuels. I don't want to talk too much about him because I don't want to piss off his fan base, which are now seemingly coming to back you up. Because many of y'all would look past this. Many of y'all would look past the fact that this very same woman sat on a panel and sat on countless panels listening to talking points and espousing talking points herself of aborting black male babies. Now, mind you, this is a mother who is raising either a black son or black sons. And if this wasn't offensive to you as a mother, that you could sit up here and listen to a bunch of ignorant bitches talking about aborting black male boys while you're raising sons or a son yourself. If you don't find that offensive, then I don't know what else I can say to you. The reason why I say all this is for those of you brothers who decided, well, we're going to give her a pass, she's cool all of a sudden. Y'all better be careful, because what it lets me know is you don't have long foresight. I'm not about to align myself with someone like this, especially when she hasn't even, what is it? What's the word I'm looking over? Shit. When she hasn't even rectified these positions that she once stood for and still does stand for to this day. And y'all can sit back and give her a pass. As a matter of fact, it was also Amiri Brown, formerly known as the Great Liberators, who made a quick, short video. And I guess it was supposed to be kind of funny, a little skit or something like that, how he was coming to the defense of womansphere. because now she was going in on Taz exclusives, Nyla Vibes, and Cynthia G. I want you to understand how easy it is for black men to be duped. They're not just black men, but also black people. And this is a part of the reason why the race has not gotten anywhere, because when you got someone who is most certainly questionable sitting amongst your midst, you completely overlook that the minute they do one thing that you approve of. Listen, I do understand that a broken clock can be right twice a day. Doesn't mean I'm going to sit there and look at this clock and get the time from it now. Would I? Because that would be outright insane. But this is how a lot of these black people work. How a lot of you Negroes work. Now, I'm kind of going off into a tangent. Let me get into what it is that I need to talk about. Because like I stated, we're going to be here for a little while. Listening to some of the talking points that are espoused here, I want y'all to pay attention to when somebody is truly about liberating black people. You have to know what strategy is effective when it comes down to liberating black people. And when somebody is truly about that. But when you hear certain language and certain talking points being added in, then you need to go ahead and really question that. And what I'm going to say to you, because this goes directly to black women. I should have made that abundantly clear in the beginning of this production. But this is to black women. You're going to have a lot of people who are going to be simps, panderers, or in certain cases, just exploiting you, who are going to get online and tell you what it is that you want to hear. The bottom line is this. For years, you've had, whether it be black men, black women, whether it be white women, whether it be white men, whether it be Asian men, getting online and telling you what it is that you want to hear. How wonderful you are, how you're queens, how you're gods and goddesses. No, all of this should be completely irrelevant to you. The only thing that should matter is within all of the pandering and simping that's been going on, what are the results? What is your outcome? Has your outcome actually changed? If the results don't add up, then my question is, why are you following a strategy that simply does not work? It is the same reason as of why I do not subscribe to churches. I do not follow the Bible. I do not believe in some conventional God that is written in a Christian Bible or Quran or some other book, man-written book. It just doesn't make sense to me. Why? If anybody asks me, what is your religion? My religion is what actually benefits me. My agenda is my religion. If it doesn't serve my agenda, and if it don't benefit me, I don't follow it. It is just the most simplest piece of advice I can give anybody. Stop following what does not actually benefit. But see, the problem is when it comes down to black women, far too long, many of you have followed people who do not benefit you. You have followed ideologies that are to no best interest of yours. And mind you now, other people seem to benefit and make, whether it be millions or make quite a bit of money off of you. The people that you are supporting seemingly benefit, but your results don't change. And yet you're still sitting around complaining. That right there is the definition of insanity. To keep doing the same thing that is ineffective while expecting a different outcome each and every time. And this is another reason why even at an early age, in my late teens, I turned myself away from the church. I tried to get into it, but when I realized what's being talked about here, there is nothing beneficial in this for me. What you want is subservience out of me as a black teen getting ready to go into black manhood, and that shit just don't rock for me. And I knew that at an early age. It didn't take me having to stumble and hit my head over the wall but time after time after time, again and again, to figure this out. And what I'm telling to you, to a lot of you black women, y'all better start picking this up and realizing what don't work. And when you see that it doesn't work, you don't keep doing the same ineffective strategies over and over again. But now I'm going to get into this video clip. I'm going to let y'all listen to this. And I'll more or less highlight these talking points of what I'm talking about, or when someone actually knows what they're saying, if it actually benefits you, and whether you need to question when you listen to certain talking points. So let's get into this right here.
Man, you got little black girls growing up, and for all intents and purposes, it's a black woman or a woman of color.
All right.
That's a heartbeat away from the.
Let me just pause that for 1 second. A black woman or a woman of color. Do y'all know where this is going? When you start hearing talking points like this is a black man. A black man speaking like this. A black woman or a woman of color. But let me let y'all finish listening to that before I even go ahead and give you my analysis. Let me play that back.
That's a heartbeat away from the most powerful growing up. And for all intents and purposes, it's a black woman or a woman of color. That's a heartbeat away from the most powerful seat in the world. And behind a president who's well stricken in age. Who could, I mean, let's be real. Joe Biden could drop dead tomorrow. And the leader of the free world will be a woman of color. That's what these girls that's what these girls and these boys growing up saying. You think they stunned trying to get some nigga trying to get wifed up by some old nigga man? Just think about it logically.
All right.
Man, you got.
All right, so y'all heard that. Now, just for the record, he's talking about the black manosphere here. Now, I don't really have a problem with what he's saying about the black manosphere. We know that I've made videos talking about that black manosphere. We know that I've made it abundantly clear that I am not a part of any groups on social media. And I'm damn sure I'm not a part of any black manosphere. I've made that abundantly clear. But listening to what he was talking about, he's talking about Kamala Harris and how, I guess he's trying to say how black women and girls are making strides to greatness. And this right here is no different than what white Democrats have done to black people for all these years, what white Republicans have done to black people for all these years, is give you empty symbolism. Pretty much trying to establish your greatness based off of Kamala Harris could be on the verge of sitting in the presidency, which, if you ask my personal opinion, I believed at one point in time that could be true, and it still might be true, but I don't think that that's where this is going. I don't think none of the Democrats want her in the White House as the president. I don't think she'll ever see that seat in her lifetime, but I could be wrong. But I want y'all to think about this for a second. If we are going to use this as a means to compare the greatness of black women, see how black women are making all of these things an accomplishment. Now, mind you, this has not even happened yet. And if we're using this as a one-up against black men, then I simply would ask the question, well, you do realize that we had a half-black president who did 2 consecutive terms in the White House. Well, about 5.5 years ago. So what does that necessarily mean if we're going to say Kamala Harris? But, if y'all believe that, then if we're going to use this as a one-up against one another, the question that I would say the follow-up behind that is, what did black people get out of Barack Hussein Obama being in the White House for 8 fucking years? Not a goddamn thing. And like I said, this is a half-black president. Don't let nobody fool you and say he's a black president. He is a half-black president. Why? Because one of his parents are white via his mother. So when we listen to Amiri Brown saying, well, we got a woman of color, first of all, let's just look at the circumstances if Kamala Harris were to take the White House. Now, Barack Obama managed to get a substantial amount of votes, and that's what got him into the White House 2 times consecutively. Say what you want to say about him, like him, dislike him. I don't like the guy. But he managed to get a large amount of votes. He managed to energize a base. So if we're going to talk about or use Kamala Harris as a one-up on black men, if she somehow makes her way into the White House, then the question that I would ask is this. if she made her way into the White House, it would be based off of Joe Biden not being able to complete a full term, whether it be for whatever circumstances. She would have to take over. Now, the question is, when she initially ran back in 2019, when she dropped out of the goddamn race. Because nobody, as a matter of fact, they tried to present her as the top Democratic candidate, but she was the first one to drop out. So she went in there with all that momentum that quickly came crashing down. Once reality hit, it was known that, listen, she's an empty fucking suit. Nobody likes her. Nobody wants her in the White House. Nobody is supporting her. And this is why she had to drop out. So let's just say if she does manage to weasel her way into that goddamn seat, it would not be based off of talent. It would not be based off of her policies. It would not be based off of the American people liking her and voting her dumbass into the goddamn White House. What would have had to happen is an unfortunate set of events to where this washed up president that we have sitting in the White House right now cannot complete his full term. Meaning she would have to take over. He's been in there for about a year and a half, maybe a little bit more. So what would that leave her? What, 2.5 years or a year and a half to be in the White House? 2 years to a year and a half? So if she couldn't make it when she initially ran, nobody likes her. They don't like Joe Biden now. Their approval ratings are at the lowest. And listen, at one point I said this back in 2017 that Donald Trump would go down as the worst president in the history of this nation. Boy, was I wrong. I completely missed the mark on that one. That was a 3 strike and you're out. Holy shit. Man, no one could have told me this was coming. And Donald Trump must be fucking doing backflips saying, hey, shit, thank God. To any other president who might have even remotely have been a candidate for going down as the worst president in history, man, Joe Biden just took the icing off the goddamn cake. So we got his ass in the White House. We got Kamala Harris in the White House. Their approval ratings are at the lowest that any president has ever seen. They are a flat out fucking disgrace. Joe Biden is a flat out fucking disaster. He's been a disaster since day one. And if he remains in office for the remainder of his term, we are going to be in some serious goddamn trouble. It's just that simple. If he can't continue to complete his term and Kamala Harris takes over, we are in even bigger trouble. But just really going off on that tangent really just highlights a point that nobody likes Kamala Harris. So if she got in there now, she wouldn't even be able to complete a full term if what I'm saying is correct. Meaning that when this term is up, whether it be a year and a half, 2 years, whatever the time frame would be, we know she's not going to win re-election. We know once that time is up, you're out of there. You're finished. You could get the worst Republican candidate. She's done. Finished. They will beat her in a landslide. Why? Because nobody likes Kamala Harris. It is just that simple. We all know this, so therefore we're going to go ahead and put her on a pedestal and say, look at the accomplishment. No, you didn't. If she somehow manages to take that seat, she wouldn't have taken that seat based off of talent. She wouldn't have taken that seat based off of good policies that she's written. She wouldn't take that seat based off of popularity and how much the American people like her, because the fact of the matter is we all dislike her for the most part. So with all of these things taking into effect, we know she could not win the re-election. That's just not going to happen. So if we're going to put black women and girls on a pedestal and say, look at what you've accomplished, because Kamala Harris did a year and a half after Joe Biden could not complete his first term for whatever reason, then at the end of the damn day, we've seen that she did not have what it took to get in there on her own merits and talent alone. That is not a trophy. That is not an accomplishment. That's just being in a position to where you can capitalize if something else went wrong. But if nothing goes wrong, she'll never see the day of that damn seat, ever. So when you have somebody like Amiri Brown trying to utilize Kamala Harris, first of all, she's not a black woman. Let's just get into the history of Kamala Harris for a second. She has an Indian mother and a half black father. Her grandfather is white, and that's on her father's side. meaning his mother must have been Jamaican or whatever. So that would make Kamala Harris a quarter black, that would make her a quarter white, and that would make her one half Indian. Why is she not classified as an Indian? Oh, but that's right, she's black when convenient now, isn't it? Why is she not classified as white? We talk about the first black one. She didn't even have the decency to get herself a black husband if she was going to play that card. She's married to a whole white man. And see, you got people who are pandering and giving you false information like this as if somehow this is an accomplishment. But what is Kamala Harris's policies and how does she plan to benefit black women? If we're going to say if she were to take the seat of the White House, that this is a good thing because she seems to be doing everything for everyone else, just like Joe Biden, not black women. So once again, black women, I asked you, because you're going to have a lot of panderers, a lot of simp asses that are going to get online and tell you what you want to hear, but it leads to no results. And this really starts to make it abundantly clear on why the condition has not changed, because you choose to support people who are giving you things that are of intangible results. There's no benefit behind it. It's merely a bunch of empty words and blank symbolism. Empty symbolism, the first black female or the first female of color, and somehow you lumped it up to an accomplishment of your own. And it really isn't. But this is what y'all fall for. So you can sit back and listen to guys like Amiri Brown, but listening to Amiri Brown, your outcome is still going to remain the same. I promise you that. If he refuses to call out the blatantly obvious issues within black American women, then I don't know what to tell you. But let me pause this for 1 second. All right. I gotta get myself a little something to drink. Hold on 1 second. You know, every summer I say this, and this is a completely different topic. I hate making productions in the summertime based off of the mere fact that I have to run the AC, and it has been unusually hot up here in New York City. And the one thing I can't stand is having the AC running in the background, but it's just too hot, so I got it on auto, so you hear it in the background, back and forth, kicking on. But anyhow, what I want to do is get into the next video clip that Amiri Brown on this very same live stream. And what I'm telling you is, guys like Amiri Brown are not going to tell you as black women what it is that you need to do in order to straighten up. Because listen, there's so many things wrong with black women that is on display for the whole world to see. This is not me bashing you. This is me telling you what it is that you need to hear. You want real results? Listen, at the end of the goddamn day, somebody telling you, just pretty much boasting your accomplishments in your ear, telling you how wonderful you are and how things are not your fault, that does not change your outcome. Y'all have been dealing with this for how many years? The outcome has not changed. This is why you've had so many gurus get online teaching black women all these things. Things have not changed. These are the facts. If whoever you are listening to is not willing to tell you how you can course correct, then trust and believe your outcome will always remain the same. So now let me get into the next clip. All right. Let y'all listen to this.
It's all about reasserting, white supremacy on a state level. And this is really why you see conservatives have the position they have to the.
Before I go any further, I want just, they're talking about the whole Roe v. Wade, the abortion law that has been overturned by the Supreme Court. We know that a lot of black women have a problem with this, and I'm going to tell y'all this much, regardless of whatever your opinion is. I'm not here to judge your opinion on how you feel about that. I haven't even given my opinion on that whole piece. But here's what I'm going to tell you. Do not allow yourselves to be put as the face of those fighting for abortion. I repeat, black woman, do not allow yourself to be depicted as the face of those who are fighting for abortions. Regardless of how you feel about it, collectively, that is not your fight. This is not about whether it's right or wrong. What I'm telling you, collectively, this is not your fight. Now, as far as I know about the whole abortion being overturned, let me just say this, and many of y'all already know this. And I've been hearing about this for years, and it's just been landing in my lap from different sources. There's been reports about this, and I've heard about this for almost a decade now, how the white race is on the decline. I've heard many different groups of people tell this to me, including whites. Just randomly bring this up to me, that the white race is on the decline. They are not increasing, their birth rates are not succeeding over their death rates. So then it starts to make sense on why they want to overturn this abortion law. This is also another reason why I'm telling you, black women, do not allow yourselves to be the ones depicted as the ones fighting for abortion. Regardless of how you feel about it, do not be at the forefront of this movement, because this is going to be something else, once again, that is used against you. Trust me. But now that we understand that the purpose of this whole overturning of abortions is to increase the white birth rate, we know what the agenda is. So now we can go ahead, just to put that out there in perspective. Now let's listen to what Amiri Brown is saying.
Federal government, because from their vantage point, it's the federal government that has come in and made them live up to the Constitution and to the Bill of Rights. You know what I'm saying?
But after you, Amiri,
yeah.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Let me just finish up real fast. So that's why, like I was saying, these brothers was rejoicing, because it's stupid. You see what I'm saying? Because they don't understand how that puts us more in the crosshairs than anybody else. See, because if a woman doesn't have autonomy over her own body.
All right, let me pause that for 1 second. Now, Amiri Brown says how the overturning of abortion puts us in the crosshairs more than anybody else. He does not explain how this would make us more so of a target. He doesn't explain why. Now, I just told you as of why the abortion laws have been overturned. And the funny thing is, I want y'all to, this is another reason why I tell you, black women, do not put yourselves at the forefront of this movement fighting for abortion. Do not do that. Because I want y'all to notice how they made Clarence Thomas. And listen, I'm no fan of Clarence Thomas. I'm no fan of his at all, none whatsoever. But they made him the face of this whole overturning abortions, as if he sat up and said and made this decision solely on his own. Now, anybody that knows anything in this country, according to what many of you black women believe, because a lot of y'all follow Cynthia G, so you've already concluded that black men are powerless, don't have any power, we're conquered, we're neutered, we're dominated. So if you believe that Clarence Thomas is solely responsible for this, just understand that's a trick bag. That's the deception. In a country where black men control nothing, they are trying to depict a black man as the one who is solely saying, no, we are overdoing or overturning these abortions. You can no longer have abortions. Then to have black women be the face of, well, no, we are the ones fighting for abortions. So regardless of however this narrative spins, if it goes bad, then guess what? Regardless, there's one face or group of people who are not seen behind it as the face of this, who don't have to take the brunt of it or be the crash test dummy when this shit all goes wrong. So I kind of went off on a tangent again. Let me get back to the initial subject. Amiri Brown is talking about how this puts us into the crosshairs. Black people into the crosshairs. But he fails to explain how this happens. Why would we be the primary target? I just told you I just outlined this whole thing for you. The overturning of abortions was a means to preserve the white race. As a matter of fact, there was videos I've seen years ago. Like I said, I've been getting this information for damn near a decade, where in certain countries, the white population is so low, they will pay people to come move over there and reproduce. Now, if you think that's for your black ass, and I'm talking about you black men who out here talking about getting you some nice white snow bunnies, no, that's not for you. This is for white men. They'll give them a house. They'll give them money, give them grants, start businesses here, impregnate some of these white women, reproduce. So now that we have this outlined, that the goal is to to reproduce and increase the white birth rate to have that exceed the death rate. What I need it to be understood now is, how does this put black people in the crosshairs of being targeted? But I'm going to play that back for y'all, and then we're going to just keep on listening.
You see what I'm saying? Because they don't understand how that puts up.
And after you, Amiri, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Let me just finish up real fast. So that's why, like I was saying, these brothers was rejoicing, because it's stupid. You see what I'm saying? Because they don't understand how that puts us more in the crosshairs than anybody else. See, because if a woman doesn't have autonomy over her own body, then it puts rape back on the table as a tool of racial oppression and white supremacy. You see, because now, because male hegemony is institutionalized and they control and run the institutions, a woman can be raped. Theoretically, a sister can be raped. Under that type of scenario, can be raped, impregnated by a white boy, and have no recourse to abort it. And these black motherfucking men who claim they want to lead something, sitting there lauding it and applauding it with their stupid fucking asses, and then wonder why I'm on their neck.
The same way they can be raped by a white boy and have no recourse to abortion is the same way they can be raped by a black guy and have no recourse to abortion. It's the same way they can be raped by an Asian guy and have no recourse to abortion. Is the same way they could be raped by a Hispanic or an Indian or any other group of people. You see, once again, this doesn't actually specify how this puts black people in the crossfire. Now, I believe the proper terminology he should have used is that this would put, according to what he believes now, I'm just going ahead and going off what he believes now, that the proper terminology that he should have used is this will put black women more in the crossfires of becoming victims of rape. But now, just to go back into what I outlined earlier, is the whole reason of the overturning of these abortions was to preserve the white race. All right? So let's just say that white men are going to go, because earlier there was a screenshot, and I probably should have took a picture of that to use for this video. I guess he was talking about, I don't know if it was a white lawmaker or somebody who was a politician who was talking about using rape as a means of impregnating women or something like that to increase the rate, the birth rates, or something along those lines. Don't quote me on this. I would have to go ahead and look at that screenshot. But in this live stream, he actually showcases that. So him showcasing this, we know that the goal is to get white women to produce more babies. More what? White babies. Because the goal is to save their race. Because if their birth rates are on the decline and the death rates are superseding the birth rates, then yeah, they got a serious problem on their hands. If any group of women that this would target, it would mainly target white women who would be victims of being raped by who? White men. Why? Because the goal is to reproduce white babies. Tell me, where do you get a white baby by a white guy reproducing with a black woman? That would be a biracial child. According to many of you Negroes, you would just lump the child up and say that child is black. No, that would be a biracial child. So as a matter of fact, when we sit there, that would be on the extremity. If you're really trying to reproduce or procreate with and have your race increase, if you were going to select a non-white woman, a black woman would be the extremity. Because why? That's damn near the counter opposite, the polar opposite. If you want to produce something that looks white, it would make more sense for the Asian woman to be a victim of rape. It would make more sense for the white Hispanic woman to be a victim of rape by white men. It would make more sense for the white Indians to be a victim of being raped by white men. It would make more sense for the light, bright, damn near white, biracial black female. Well, I say black just based off of having a black parent. But it would make sense for a half-breed to be subject to become a victim of being raped by white men in order for them to fulfill this agenda. It would make absolutely no sense for a black woman to become victim of this in order for them to reproduce white babies. That makes no goddamn sense. So once again, Amiri Brown puts something out here, and he doesn't substantiate or ties in this point on how this actually correlates to what he's remotely suggesting. It's just something that simply doesn't make any goddamn sense. But this is what the man is running with. Okay. Once again, I want y'all to be careful on who you're getting your information from, because he is saying things that really are not even remotely applicable to black women. Now, let me tell you something else, information that has been passed through my ears over the years. From what I've been told by other sources, I understand that once every 7 generations within the white race, they don't have a problem mixing it up with black DNA. Hence is why they'll marry a black woman or marry a black guy. And in many cases, when you see whether it be a black man or one who is a person of prominence, you look down at their lineage after they done got with a white woman or a white man. Look at their children, their grandchildren, their great grandchildren. You don't see blackness in there anymore. Perfect example of this is Muhammad Ali. He got with that mixed breed or that white woman or whatever she was. I can't remember. But you look at his grandson, you would never tell that his granddaddy was black or his great granddaddy was black. You never know. You would think he was Italian or something like that. You would never know. But the goal is they can mix it in once every 7 generations and then breed it out, because this helps to strengthen their bloodline, their DNA. This is just from information that has been passed through my ears by other sources. So that might explain why every now and again you'll see somebody like a Meghan Markle with Prince Harry. But many of y'all don't understand the whole dynamics of interracial dating. And I might explain that just a little bit later on in this production. But this is part of what actually happens. So when you hear of Amiri Brown, hold on one second. Talking about black women becoming subject of being victims of rape. Well, even based off of the strategy that I just mentioned that takes place, it still wouldn't even make sense. It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't even be fitting in a time frame, because the goal is to produce white babies. And if you don't have white people to reproduce with, then that strategy don't even make any damn sense. But anyhow, I'm gonna tell y'all once again, y'all better be careful on who you're listening to, because all these things might feel good, it might sound good, but at the end of the day, the results still remain the same. Let me keep on going.
Wonder why? Because what that tells to me is that you're fine with that being the reality. You're fine. And the reason why you're fine with it is because what you're doing is you're identifying with this white supremacist.
Amiri, they were fine
on the basis. Hold on, Chanel. What you're doing is.
Let me just pause that for a second, also, and also I want you to, this is the individual that's going to start talking in a little while, and I want you to see who he has on his panel. I want y'all to just take a good listen. Now, this is a man who uses a closeout or an outro of "Make Black America Great Again or Die Trying." Not "Make America Great Again or Die Trying." Make Black America Great Again or Die Trying. But let's keep going.
You're identifying with this white supremacist on gender, but it's a problem if the sisters do it. See, it wasn't you who was tricked into doing it. It was you was really for the black nation. It was the women. White.
Pause that. Also, I believe I mentioned this in the earlier portion of the production, but if I hadn't, let me go ahead and say it again. Amiri Brown, with the closeouts of his video, the outros of his live streams, "Make Black America Great Again or Die Trying," yet and still at the same time, this is the same man who supports black women divesting. I want you to think about that for a second. How do you take a statement like "Make Black America Great Again or Die Trying," but you are all for black women divesting? He doesn't even use the terminology dating outside the race, exploring options. No, we are talking about divesting. which is something far more sinister. And he supports that. Okay, let's keep going.
Women trick black women. Full of shit. You identifying with this white supremacist because he's a male and you're a fucking male.
And he's saying that black men who support the overturning of abortions are identifying with white supremacists based off of him being a male and black men being males. When the Roe v. Wade overturning, I don't see how that benefits black men. I'm just going to be honest, I don't. A lot of black men find themselves in situations with these women where condoms break and all of a sudden the pregnancy ends up, and this is nobody that you were in a relationship with. This is just someone you were banging for the goddamn night, and now you have no way to abort this pregnancy. How does that actually benefit black men? Now, I'm not for abortion, nor am I against it. All right, I've never given my opinion when it comes down to abortion. There's so many different dynamics and circumstances involved with it that I don't think it's, me giving an opinion on where I stand with it. It really is difficult. I kind of play devil's advocate on both sides because I can see where both sides are coming from. But in this situation, what I'm trying to figure out is how does this correlate to a direct benefit of black men? Because if anything, black men would mainly get screwed behind this more so than ever. Why? Because if a woman ends up impregnated, and this is just some chick you were banging, a condom broke, oh shit, I got a child in my stomach that I can't get rid of. Guess what? The black man get put on child support. The black man could lose his job. All kinds of hell, your license, everything could go wrong behind that. Your credit score, everything goes down the fucking tubes if you fall behind on child support. And on top of that, the women can go forth and keep on raising up the ante. I need more money than this. And the judges will grant it to them. So what I'm trying to figure out, in what way, shape, or form does this have anything to do? And listen, he can disagree with black men's position, with the black manosphere's position on the supporting of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. What I'm trying to figure out is, how is this black men aligning with white supremacy? It doesn't make any fucking sense. He doesn't correlate how this actually aligns or ties in with the white supremacist agenda. He can't give you any examples. He's just saying things, and like I said, he fails to tie in his goddamn point. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Now, if he was reciting talking points from black men in the manosphere that he could say, okay, this is how this aligns up with the white supremacist agenda, okay, I would be able to see his position, but I can't, because why? He fails to correlate or substantiate what he's saying. He just throws shit out here and doesn't drive it home. Makes no fucking sense. Because like I told you, this does not benefit black men by large. If anything, black men are going to get screwed by large when it comes down to this. Because we're the ones who are going to take the biggest losses in the courtrooms when it comes down to child support. Especially when it comes down to black men dating interracially with these white women. But let's keep going.
Go ahead, Chanel.
Yeah, I was like, at this point, if a group of men are fine with being slaves for hundreds of years, I don't think there's nothing you can do. And they didn't even free themselves.
You hear this stupid shit? This is who Amiri Brown allows on his panel. If black men were comfortable, if a group of men were comfortable being slaves for hundreds of years, where do they get this stupid shit from? Where do they believe in this bullshit from, that the majority of black men just wanted to be slaves for hundreds of fucking years? Then by that logic, then we could say the same thing about black women. Because you were slaves with us. See, the problem is you have a lot of these females who try to identify themselves as something other than black. We are not tied to the same struggle. Listen, we're joined at the hip on this. So when you hear talking points like that, let me just let y'all, I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to let y'all listen to that.
Was tricked into doing it. It was you was really for the black nation. It was the women, white women tricked black women. Full of shit. You identifying with this white supremacist because he's a male and you're a fucking male. Go ahead, Chanel.
Yeah, I was like, at this point, if a group of men are fine with being slaves for hundreds of years, I don't think there's nothing you can do. And they didn't even free themselves. The Constitution freed them. A white man, the same white man that was dating black women, he had to free the black people. And I really think black women convinced a white man that she was dating to free him. Because I remember that politician. No, I remember.
This is why he started laughing, because this is how fucking stupid she sounds. Now, I just want y'all to understand something before I go any further with this. And I'm going to tell you black men something right now. And black women. You better quickly be able to identify when you have someone amongst your midst who should not be there. Within the first 2 seconds of listening to this female, I knew she was a goddamn divester. She's a swirler. Now, there's nothing in this video clip that I can point out, well, other than the dumb shit that she's saying right now, that could substantiate it. But just based off of the talking points, I can tell you are a divester, you are a swirler, you are a white male worshiper. I mean, just look at the weave on her goddamn head. It speaks volumes. And this is who Amiri Brown allows onto his panel to lecture and scold black men as a collective. Now, according to Amiri Brown, he has 6 children. I question whether you're married to a black wife, because I'm really starting to believe that you might be married to something that's non-black. That would not surprise me. And why you can sit back and co-sign bullshit like this and yet have a statement, make black America great again or die trying. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this came out of Amiri Brown's own mouth. The reason why he had a fallout with Cynthia G back in 2018 was not based off of the foul, fucked up shit she was saying about black men as a collective, but based off of her going in on Phil the Advice show for having a white Hispanic wife. Now, if my memory serves me right, I want y'all to let that shit sink in with y'all. Because this is who you're letting lead and say, well, I don't know if y'all letting them lead, but this is who y'all taking advice from, saying, make black America great again or die trying. With that being said, let me let y'all finish listening to this. I'm going to back it up a little bit.
I don't think there's nothing you can do. And they didn't even free themselves. The Constitution freed them. A white man, the same white man that was dating black women, he had to free the black people. And I really think black women convinced a white man that she was dating to free him. Because I remember that politician. No, I was doing the research, and the politician that wrote the Constitution, he was like, he had all types of girlfriends. And they were saying that he had got one of his nurses that were black pregnant. He was talking to some of the black women that were working on some of the plantations. And I think black women, we really did that. And it's like, if we didn't talk to the white man, black men would have still been in slavery just fine.
Yeah, I don't know. Sound like you've been watching Cynthia G.
No. I like.
Listen to the ignorant bimbos that he allows onto his panel. I mean, the minute you hear some ignorant bitch talking shit like this, you're supposed to immediately boot her ass out of the goddamn room. If you truly stand for what your outros are at each live stream. Make black America great again or die trying. You're supposed to kick an ignorant heifer like this out of your goddamn live stream. Here this ignorant bitch is sitting around talking about how the white man, and we had to go to the white man to free the black man. This is the dumb shit they love to talk about. Hollow, empty, feel-good moments that equate and amount to absolutely nothing. As if this shit is even remotely true. You were able to fucking convince the white man to free the black man, but y'all can't get this white man no matter how many... Oh, okay, let me just calm down. Let me calm down. No matter how many white guys you sleep with, no matter how many white guys you procreate with or marry, you can't get white men to collectively do anything that's going to benefit yourselves. So you mean to tell me that somehow you've convinced this white guy, well, of course we're talking about Abraham Lincoln here, is who she's talking about, to free the black mans, but yet your condition is still the same. You see, this is the level of ignorance and blatant fucking stupidity of what you were listening to. This right here, you know good and damn well you're dealing with a damn divester. You're dealing with a goddamn swirler. Someone who is a white male worshiper. And Amiri Brown allows this onto his panel. Has no problem with this. But then wants to sit up here and scold black men as a goddamn collective. Let's keep going.
No.
That's funny all day. Is it okay if I ride behind you, Chanel? Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine.
What I wanted to throw in, to the argument was, speaking of politics,
Now, some black men,
if you have a concentration...
This brother right here called it out. She trolling now. So some of y'all actually knew what time it is. But the biggest problem here is not her doing what she's doing. Because you got to expect this out of somebody like her. You see, when I look at a problem like this that sits in a certain space, the first thing I need to know is who controls the goddamn space. And the fact that Amiri Brown let this go on and he did not one time check her on this. The ultimate problem that I got to conclude is Amiri Brown. It is no different than when you are out and about and some dude is with his lady and his lady is being blatantly disrespectful to you. At some point, when that disrespect doesn't stop and that man fails to step up to the goddamn plate and check his woman, then the way I'm going to deal with this is I'm not going to talk to you as a female. Get your man. Because the next thing, if I got to go ahead and put hands on anybody, it's going to be him. Get your man. Because me and him need to talk right now. The fact that he would sit idly by and allow you to disrespect me without checking you, that's a serious problem and it's a violation. Therefore, I'm not talking to you. You are a girl. Get me your man. I need to speak with his ass immediately. And it's the same thing I would say when it comes down to this female talking recklessness on this just talking stupid on this panel. The problem is not her because we know automatically, we know you're fucked up in the head to begin with. So I'm not going to waste my time holding a debate or a discussion with someone who thinks this ignorant. The problem is the intelligent brother who's sitting on a panel, who's hosting a panel, allowing shit like this to go on while having outros and closeouts stating make Black America great again or die trying. You see, what females like this look to do is to get black men like Amiri Brown to co-sign their foolishness. This is what, let's finish listening. I'm gonna let this go on a little bit longer.
People, hypothetically, who ended up turning an area that was empty into a place where 75,000 people could function. All right, hypothetically. The benefit of that is also delegates, because they're not going to get rid of the Electoral College anytime soon. As you know, that's going to be a fight. But this is why I'm going to say it again. You have places in this country that's unincorporated. That doesn't mean that there's Clem in the background. I'm saying land that's never been lived on, land that's never, had anyone else on them except for the indigenous people who were there. So
pause that. Here she goes right here. Chanel the Fantastic. Do some research. She's telling people to do some research on something that she knows nothing about. All right, so y'all see this. I just wanted y'all to get a look at that. Let us keep going.
Oh, to that point, when you have at a minimum of 5,000 people and up, that's a town. That's a city. As you grow in a span of that, you then change the landscape of whatever state you're in. I'll give you an example. If you lived in New Mexico, right? New Mexico only has 3 delegates, and that represents 1 senator and 2 House representatives. So they're a small state, but if enough people go there or create cities, now they have to change the delegates. Now New Mexico will become a contender state like Arizona.
Right.
There's a method to every piece of what I'm talking about. There's not one corner I have not checked into. And now they just passed a bill. The Democrats did it slick. I'm really proud. They slid in there and they got this bill passed. And now this bill will assist with getting green energy. This will assist with water. This will assist with those type of things. And guess what that also brings?
Okay. Despite the fact that there are food shortages, water shortages, I believe this is taking place in Las Vegas, that you have shortages all over this fucking nation right now. Inflation through the goddamn roof. She's sitting here talking about this will assist with green energy and water and all this. Let me just make this perfectly clear. There's a certain level of language that you have to listen to that lets you know whether you're really dealing with somebody who's truly about seeing black society uplifted. When somebody's sitting here showing you that they are a staunch Democrat, listen, like I said, within the first 5 minutes of listening to somebody, I can understand what your position lies, where you stand. I know this. When you're sitting here talking about the Democrats that is slick and I'm so proud of them, even though they are responsible for single-handedly turning this country upside down within less than a fucking year, she's sitting here praising the Democratic Party. Oh, well, this is going to help us with green energy. And one thing that becomes insulting is when I hear y'all talking about this Green New Deal, green energy, and yet you niggas have never worked in a power plant. You've never worked in a boiler plant. You don't work on engines. You know nothing about nuclear power. You know nothing about none of the above. But you're sitting here talking about some Green New Deal and have no experience. And this is one of the biggest problems that we're facing in this country right now, because we got a bunch of politicians selling this Green New Deal and this climate change, and yet they have never worked in any of these fucking fields to tell you anything about anything. But they want to convince you about a Green New Deal, which is ultimately going to cost you more fucking money, which many people aren't going to be able to afford. Because of what they're talking about, a lot of it is not sustainable. They're trying to demonize strategies that have worked, that have proven to be prolonged and have worked for all this time. And listen, I don't have a problem with going to cleaner energy. But when I'm listening to people who don't have any experience in the field talking about this, it's something that I question. But that's another tangent. Let me back off of that. Let me get back to my initial subject. Because I don't think I got to let any more of this go on as far as this clip. Because what we're dealing with here is, like I said, a lot of you black men are going to have to be able to wake up and realize really fast what type of black woman you're dealing with. When you're hearing a black woman talk like this, you have to know what you're dealing with. When you're dealing with someone who's a liberal, that is something that you need to deeply be concerned about, especially if you have values and core values, or even in certain cases, conservative values. You better be very careful dealing with one of these liberal females of any race. And you're going to be able to understand this and pick this up by listening to some of their talking points and see this right away, where they really stand. Now, here's the deal. When I listen to people like Cynthia G, which I'll be honest, I don't watch her. I just can't stand the sound of her voice. But when you listen to these people who run off at the goddamn mouth talking all this shit about black men, whether it be Amiri Brown, whether it be Paris Milan, whether it be what's her name, Chris No Logic, or any of these other individuals who get online day in and day out and espouse their bullshit about black men as a damn collective, attempting to scold black men as a goddamn collective. Typically what you're going to find out about these individuals is they will read articles, they will read statistics, and they will run with what they just read. That's pretty much what it is. Even when it comes down to the whole 5.5 hours of black women being murdered by black men in this country. I sat down and I went over that. I got the video. It's still up. Y'all can take a look at it. And when I read these articles, it stated no statistics that showed that they were being murdered or whether they were being killed by black men. There was nothing that showed any such thing. A lot of these spoke in vague terms. Some of these were talking about them being caught up in the crossfires of drive-by shootings. I mean, this is what we're talking about, but somehow they equate that to black men. And what you're gonna come to realize about individuals like this is they will read these stats without thoroughly dissecting these stats, without making comparisons to see whether this is what you actually see in your everyday life. They would just run with stats. And listen, I stopped using stats a long time ago because I realized, just like I showcased in that video I did, was back in January, February, how this shit is flawed, how it's a lot of stuff is left out on purpose to fit certain narratives. So therefore, it can be manipulated. Now, people want to say, oh, numbers don't lie. Yes, they can, depending on who's the one manipulating them. Anything can lie based off who's the one behind it manipulating it. So if you're going to run around and just blindly read and believe stats and run with that, then no, I'm sorry. That doesn't make you a scholar of any kind. Because it means that you haven't taken the time to do any of your own research and thoroughly compare whether this actually remotely makes sense. The same way they were trying to say that black men are less than 13% of the population, but yet commit over 50% of the murders and violent crimes in this country. That doesn't even remotely make any damn sense. But yet they'll sell you this bullshit and have you believing this, even though it's completely skewed. So when I sit back and I listen to people giving these stats and statistics, and I got the receipts and whatnot, when you go ahead and you do your own research on it, you're going to come to find out that a lot of this shit is fucking flawed. A lot of this shit don't make any goddamn sense. So therefore, once you conclude that, then how the hell do you have the unmitigated gall to get online and think that you could collectively scold black men? Because that's all this was in this panel, was him scolding black men collectively. Which is no different than what Cynthia G does, which is no different than what Nyla Vibes and Taz Exclusives does. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, no, he was beefing, or possibly still is, beefing with Taz, Nyla Vibes, and Cynthia G. And I say for that, why? Why are you beefing with them, brother? As a matter of fact, y'all are two sides of the same coin. You and Taz should be on the same panel right now, talking that same bullshit that you saying on this fucking panel, trashing brothers. And the saddest part is, these are black men who have black sons sitting up here talking foolishness, saying things that don't make any goddamn sense. Now listen, let me go ahead and make this perfectly clear. I don't have a problem with a fair and balanced and harsh critique of black men, because black men do need to be critiqued. Listen, I've done it myself. But as I'm sitting back and I'm listening to you align yourself with females, that right there is some effeminate shit. I mean, I'm going to call it for what it is. That's some effeminate ass shit. If I'm going to sit up and call out black men, I'm not doing it on the behest of females. The last thing you're going to find me doing is sitting up on a damn panel with a bunch of women sitting up here chastising black men. That is some effeminate shit, man. And a lot of you brothers have the audacity to, as a matter of fact, this is the same thing that Taz Exclusives does. Isn't Taz Exclusives the very same guy who says he's leading the divestment movement, the BWE movement? Tell me where it's gone. Once again, substantiating my point that I made initially. How does this benefit you? You see, the problem is a lot of you black women, what I'm getting ready to do in a few minutes in this production, is I'm going to show y'all where y'all actually have some problems. I'm going to leave some examples of where you actually run into problems and why you still continue to have the issues that you do. You see, Amiri Brown will sit up here and he will completely excuse the feminist movement as if this didn't somehow corrupt the minds of black women. And what did I say about that feminist movement damn near 5 years ago? I told this to black women, listen, your first teachers of your dysfunction is the white female feminist. She is your initial teacher. This is where you get this shit from. This is why they came to you with this whole feminist movement, telling you that black men were somehow your great oppressors. But according to what y'all have concluded, we have never had power in this country to oppress anybody. So how do you somehow remotely get that fabrication in your mind? Doesn't matter whether this is completely delusional. Doesn't matter whether this is illogical. It just sounds good, so therefore we can run with this. This is what we're dealing with. Doesn't matter if it doesn't make any goddamn sense. As long as it sounds good, guess what? We can run with this. But Amiri Brown would sit up and say, well, it was the music industry that was the cause, or one of the reasons why the black community is in the decline that it is right now. But the black community has been in decline since what, the 70s, the 60s. When did the music industry start? The hip hop, when did that start? In the 80s? But he doesn't want to talk about that because he'd rather pass the blame on a couple of rap artists from what was it, NWO, whatever that fucking group was, he would rather say that this had more influence than the feminist movement. I say, are you serious? This is the argument that you're running with? Okay. Once again, when you listen to people like this, you know, one thing I hear when it comes down to a lot of black people is I'll hear arguments from black men saying that the whole interracial dating piece was pushed by black women. And then I'll hear the Cynthia G camp say, no, the interracial dating piece was pushed by black men. And the examples that the black men will use is by, say, the Lovings case in Virginia. The white man and the black woman that went to the Supreme Court and fought to legalize their interracial marriage. Then Cynthia G will come back and say, well, before that ever happened, you had 3 black men who petitioned the Supreme Court to legalize interracial marriages, 2 out of the 3 that were successful. And I'm going to go ahead and say this much right now. Y'all are both pointing fingers back and forth at each other. But the one thing that you won't do is deal with the pink elephant that sits in the middle of the room. That somehow completely gets left out. You see, if we're going to talk about the issues in black society and how black society went down the tubes the way it has, you have to thoroughly know what the fuck you're talking about and what led to this shit happening in the first place. And I'm going to tell you what happened. What led to this is deception. Deception on both ends. Because if you are under the impression that all it took was for one black woman and one white man to go to the Supreme Court to get these judges to authorize this, who are the Supreme Court's judges? White men. Then I don't know what else to tell you. If you are under the belief that all it took was for 3 black men with their white girlfriends or fiancés to come to these Supreme Court judges and get white Supreme Court judges to say, oh shit, we don't want no smoke with you black guys. So since we don't want no smoke with you Negroes, we're going to go ahead and we're going to just authorize these Supreme Court, these interracial marriages. We're going, in order to keep the peace in this nation, because we don't want smoke with the Negroes, we're going to just have to fall on the sword and let them have access to these white women. Now, if you're dumb enough to believe that, I got a bridge in Brooklyn I'll sell you for a really cheap price. That 500-pound gorilla that sits in the room are those white Supreme Court judges, your white lawmakers who push for this, your white politicians who authorize this. They controlled everything back then. And many would arguably say still do to this day. And if you can't see the deception when it comes down to this whole interracial dating piece, just like, listen, y'all can sit up here and I'm going to tell you black women, y'all listening to a lot of people who are telling you things that you want to hear but are to no benefit and really don't even make any fucking sense. There's only a handful of people who are going to tell you what it is that you really need to know when it comes down to this interracial dating piece. Now, I'm going to be one of them because I know exactly why this goes on. With the whole interracial dating piece is pretty goddamn simple. You look at the black men who are married to white women. You look at some of these black men that you've seen on social media making YouTube channels with their white wives or girlfriends, and you see a grown-ass fucking man putting on a fucking a negligee or lingerie, acting like a fucking female in the same video with his white wife. What is that telling you? You have a lost, buck-broken, confused Negro. See, many of y'all don't understand. See, y'all will talk about the stats that black men date outside the race at 3 times more the rate. But many of y'all don't know why that is. And what black women will turn around and say is the reason why we don't do this is because we are that much more loyal to the black race. And I tell you, no, you're not. That's a bunch of bull. Now, anybody who doesn't know you will sit up and believe that bullshit. But I know you. It's a bunch of bull. If you gave black men and black women equal opportunities to date out, you will find both of them dating out. Like David Carroll used to say, and may he rest in peace, it would be a photo finish. We'd have to put this under the microscope to see who loves this white person more. Is it black men or black women? Because y'all both will be doing it at the same goddamn rate. But there is a reason why it is more so given to black men, pushed and promoted to black men. Why you could see more commercials with black men, with white women. Movies where black men are in relationships with white women. There's a reason why that is. And if you can't see the subliminals behind that, I don't know what else to tell you. Then you're not equipped to have this discussion to really dissect what the hell went wrong in black society before the civil rights generation. And I'll give you one example. You listen to Donald Glover. There was a skit that he had years ago. He was given a stand-up comedy skit. And he's married to a white woman. Funny thing is, when he made that video, that music video, This Is America, the only viral song he's ever made, when he was sat down at an interview with his white wife, and they asked him, what is the meaning of the song? He would not give an explanation. He said, I'm not going to say anything. But this is the same man who sat up in a stand-up comedy skit and stated that the hardest orgasm he has ever had is when he was having sex with a white woman in the missionary style, and she grabbed him close and told him or called him a nigger. He had never nutted harder in his life, is what he stated. Now, if you don't know what the hell happened and why it's being promoted more so to black men than black women, I don't know what to tell you. Because that right there, like I said, you look at some of the Negroes who are out here dating white women, dating women of other races. They can't even get these women to conform to their agenda. These women go into the situation knowing who they are before they meet your black ass, knowing who they are when they meet your black ass, throughout the course of the relationship with your black ass, and still knowing who they are after the relationship is over. You're the only one that goes into the situation thinking along lines of something completely different. You don't see race all of a sudden. It's all love. We're all human. We're only one race, and that's the human race. I don't see color. This is what you Negroes say. And as an example of this, to let you know how the white woman still holds her position to whiteness, what was it, that football player a couple of years ago did that viral video clip, or his white girlfriend recorded him, fiance, wife, and he was sitting down in a bar or some outdoor event with his black football player friends, and they all had white wives. They were sitting there with their biracial babies, and they were cheersing to more light-skinned kids. Cheer to more light-skinned kids, more light-skinned kids, cheer to more light-skinned kids. You notice if you looked at that video clip, every last one of those Negroes that were in that video clip said the same shit. All of them with white wives. 3 Negroes and 3 white women. All of the Negroes were toasting and saying cheers to more light-skinned kids. Every last one of those white women that were in that video clip did a toast. Not a single fucking one of them said cheers to more light-skinned kids. As a matter of fact, it was his white wife that recorded his stupid... Okay, let me just... We pump the brakes for a second. Alright, let me calm down. It was his white wife who recorded him saying this and then decided to put it on social media. Now, if some of you black men came out here and said, well, she didn't mean to hurt him. No, she did. What she wanted to showcase is how stupid some of y'all really are. How dumb you look saying stupid shit like this. And since many of y'all can't see this, since many of you get caught off guard by this, you'll sit back and you'll want to give her a pass. Just like when it comes down to some of you Negroes saying, well, the white woman is a victim of slavery as well. No, the hell they're not. They were complicit in it. They had a hand in it. They sat up taking photos with their children, with their husbands. As black men were being hung, lynched, you stand under a dead body, taking fucking photos, smiling as if you had a goddamn cookout. Are you fucking serious? But see, this is what happens to the mindset of black men when they start dating interracially, especially with white women. You want to know what cuckold is all about? A bunch of white guys letting big, brutish male Negroes run up in their white girlfriends and wives. And listen, there was 2 attempts to recruit my black ass while I was doing Uber trips. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And I gave y'all the strategy on how this shit happened years ago. Now, there's typically two strategies that are going to happen. And this is what I seen when they try to recruit my black ass. This happened back in 2016. I was in the suburbs of New Jersey. Picked up a newlywed couple. White couple. Now, when I'm driving, I typically don't care to say nothing. But if you talk to me, I'll talk to you. I pretty much respond to your vibe. From the moment they got in the car, the wife asking me my name. Oh, I love your name. It's so beautiful. Is it an African name? Oh, I love that. You need to embrace your heritage and your culture. Where are you from? Just asking me all these questions. While the husband stood by silently. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is getting a little weird. And then she kept on complimenting me. Telling me how much she loved my culture, my heritage. Even to the point where when I got to their destination, I got out the car to open up the trunk so I can get their belongings out. She even went as far as, oh, your skin is so nice. And she touching my face. I was like, whoa. Calm down here. It's enough. And then the husband, all right, honey, come on, stop, honey. And I'm sitting back and saying, why is this that this man is sitting back watching his wife, who you're newlywed, you just walked down the aisle. Why are you sitting back and watching your wife be so flirtatious with me? But sitting back playing to be oblivious as if you didn't even know what she was doing. Then it happened another time. A couple that I picked up in the suburbs. And I said, yeah, well, I'm thinking about moving to New Jersey. I kind of like New Jersey. Oh, well, if you want a place to stay, we'll let you stay with us. I said, okay, this is kind of weird. But they had a nice home in the suburbs. But from the moment the wife got into the car, she was automatically trashing her husband. Trash talking him based off of his whiteness. Trash talking his father because he voted for Donald Trump. All of this foolishness, it kept going on and on. And he just sat back and took the shit. Then even to the point where I got them to the destination where they wanted to get something to eat. They said, hey, listen, if you want something, we'll take care of you. We'll feed you. If you want to come inside with it, I said, cool. The moment I got inside of there, the wife just couldn't stop putting her hands on me. Trying to dance on me. And I'm like, whoa, guy. I said, your husband's right there. And his response was, no, have a good time. And the thing is, she kept emphasizing was that, oh, I love your culture. I love your heritage. My husband is so whack because he's white. He's whack because he's white. You see, you're a black man inside of this pub with white women. You can have any one of these white girls you want because you're black. This is what she kept emphasizing on. I could not figure it out. And then it started to dawn on me. How he was comfortable allowing his wife to just grind up on me and what he was comfortable with all this shit. I'm saying, what the fuck is going on here? I just came here to get something to eat. And eventually I dropped him off to another location and I left that shit. And I said, all right, this is too fucking weird for me. I'm going home. I'm done. Finished for the night. But the strategies that they'll use their wives. They'll let their wives either be extra flirtatious with you. That way, because here's the deal. The husband doesn't want to approach you as a man saying, hey, I would like to watch you come home and bang my wife tonight. Because he doesn't know how you're going to respond. He don't know whether he's going to get his fucking head knocked the fuck off. Whether he's going to kick his teeth out his goddamn door or going to tell him to go fuck himself. So he's going to sit back and let his wife do all the talking and all the action for him. That way, if you're uncomfortable as a man, well, first of all, if you're down with it, she'll reel in the goddamn bait. And okay, all he has to do, hey, why don't you just come back home with us and have a couple of beers, we'll watch some movies, and hey, if you're too tired, you can spend the night, and before you know it, that's how that shit gets started. Or if you're not comfortable and you say, whoa, cut that shit out. What the fuck are you doing? Because most likely a man is not going to respond to a woman in such a manner. And go, just chill out, I'm good. Then that way he can play oblivious like he didn't know and just say, honey, come on, just stop. Leave the man alone. Now all of a sudden, now he wants to step up and try to get his wife to back off. No, the only reason why he's doing that because what she did had failed. And now he wants to look like, hey, I had no idea this was happening. I mean, this is egregious. How could you do this, honey? But when it comes down to cuckold, and many of you brothers might have experienced something similar to this. This whole domination of white men and a black man sleeping with a white woman. There's a reason why that's done. You can find cuckold all over the place. You look at porn, you can find this all over the place. And these are white men that produce these porns. Why is it that the most powerful group of men on the planet would produce porns showing themselves in a subservient position to black men? The same group of men that y'all say are conquered, weak, dominated, why would they depict themselves in that limelight for the whole fucking world to see? Why is that? This is not produced by black men. We're not making porn say, hey, we're going to do this to you. No, that's not what happens. This is what they're showcasing. There's a reason why they do this. Because when they do this, a lot of you black men who are engaged in these situations think that somehow you have conquered racism. That's your payback for all the years of slavery that they put you through. So therefore, you never fight the real fucking battle. You can find cuckold porn all over the goddamn place of black slaves having payback on the white slave master. How does he get payback now? Is it by him defeating the white slave master, killing that slave master? You know what I'm saying? For all the atrocities that he's done to the black slaves? No. Is it through black men regaining power and not being subservient and subordinate to other groups of people? No. Is it through black men actually establishing positions in politics, making decisions that solely benefit? No, it's not about none of the above. His payback, what is his payback? He gets to make love to the white woman. This is what they showcase. And a lot of you Negroes look at this shit. And this is how y'all get this depiction in your head that the white woman was not a part of the slave trade, that she's a victim of the slave trade. So therefore, she shouldn't be criticized for what the role that she played in that situation. This is how a lot of y'all think. This is how you can have Negroes who would get on YouTube like Mad Bus Driver talking about maybe we could ask white men to have some nice white snow bunnies as a form of reparations. This is you stupid ass niggas saying this shit. So you get involved with some white women, they automatically turn you out because they know how gullible you are. They know that once they fuck you up in the mind, that's it. You ain't fighting nothing. So the white man realized he don't gotta be as brutal as he once was years ago. Hey, we can still have these Negroes subservient to us. Why? Or how can we do this? Let them have access to white women. Well, first of all, many of them like watching black men run up in their damn women secretly. This is what they not gonna tell you. Or you'll find this on secret forums. As a matter of fact, Cynthia G did a video about this years ago. So when you sit back and you watch all of these black men running around dating white women, there's a reason why that is. Because the warrior class in your community is not going to be women. Women are never going to rise up. Well, let me rephrase that. Black women are never going to rise up as a collective trying to overrun white supremacy. They're never going to do that. They might say, oh, we're doing that by giving the white man some ass and we getting things done. No, that's not a strategy. That just shows that you're fucking defeated, you're conquered, and you're fucking accepting your fate. That's all that means. They'll tell you stupid shit like this, kind of like this goofy girl, this Janelle chick, tried to allude to. The warrior class in your community are the men. And if the men are mentally confused, buck-broken, defeated, don't see a threat, then guess what? They don't ever have to worry about you becoming a threat to them. And if giving these Negroes some white women is all it takes to keep them subservient, docile, and not see that, listen, we'll never let you have power. You can sleep with our women, but as far as power, oh, hell no. You see, if Negroes came to them saying, man, listen, we're tired of everything that you do as far as racism is concerned, the way you can pay us reparations, the way you can pay us back, let us have access to some nice white snow queens. Oh, that's all you want? Oh, shit. No big deal. We can get that for you right away. We'll pass a bill immediately and let y'all have that. If this is what Negroes came to them asking for, guess what? That would have been done 10, fucking 15, 25 years ago. 40, 50 years ago. But if you sit up and ask them, listen, we want some laws passed that exclusively benefit. Oh, whoa, we can't just do that there. No, we can't make that happen. You want some white women's, we could get you that right away. We could pass a bill for that immediately. Oh, you want cash settle? Oh, no, we can't do that there. No, that ain't gonna happen now. Oh, you want land? Oh, no, we can't do that there. We can't make that happen. You want you some white women's hand? We could get that all day for you. We could get that. We could get it cracking right now. Why? Because it doesn't amount to the results changing. Another example I can give you, and I railed in on this years ago when it happened back in 2020, the passing of Kobe Bryant. Many of y'all put him on a pedestal. And I said, y'all need to pump the brakes on that. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you had a black man who was married to a Mexican, who he was conducting himself as a subservient in order to impress her family, in order to be accepted by her family, which he did more for the Vanessa family than he did for his own immediate family, or his maiden family, I should say. Vanessa Bryant's father didn't like him, didn't approve of him, because he'd rather see his daughter with a Hispanic, despite the fact that Kobe Bryant was the one bringing in the resources, despite the fact that Kobe Bryant was the one who had the ability and actually changed the complete trajectory of that entire family's life. Took care of them, put them in lavish homes and whatnot, but yet at the end of the day, when he passed away, Vanessa Bryant wouldn't even let the parents speak at their own son's funeral. That right there just showcases, it constitutes pure weakness. A lot of you Negroes go into these situations and you don't know who you are. You don't know how to get these women on board with your agenda. You're going along with their agenda. This is why they allow interracial dating more so for black men than they do for black women. And what constitutes the ultimate disrespect, Kobe Bryant made the Black Mamas movement for black single mothers or black mothers. When he died, Vanessa Bryant changed it. She had more than enough money that he left her to where she could start her own movement. You know what? I'm not going to continue funding this movement. Y'all can keep that. I'm going to start something for Latino women. If she wanted to do that, that'd have been fine. No, she just decided to change the name, and what she did with that was a declaration making it clear where I stand. I do not align with your blackness. So anything that he did that is still being funded by this name, for black people, we changing that shit up right away, and we getting something going for Latinos immediately. That is the ultimate sign of disrespect, showcasing that even when you Negroes are involved with these relationships, you still can't even get these women on board with your agenda. You don't know how to be the goddamn head of your household. Because if he was, first of all, Vanessa Bryant's family would have been kissing his fucking feet, begging him to marry their daughter. Especially considering all the resources he was bringing to the goddamn table. And they still wouldn't do that. So that shows just how confused you are. It shows the fact that you can't even see that dynamic is troubling. That a black man can't even get respect, even when he's bringing in millions, dealing with a woman of another race. That right there is the reason why I am more so against interracial dating, more so for black men than it is black women. You got a handful of black women dating outside the race. Yeah, it looks bad, but at the end of the goddamn day, if you get your men on point, you can correct that shit. But if your men are fucked up, then the whole thing falls apart. Because men are the ones who build civilizations. Men are the ones that that create cities. Men are the ones that set narratives and agendas. Men are the ones who get things done. Just like I said the example earlier. If a woman is out of pocket and disrespecting you, and her man is standing right there idly by and allowing that shit, the way a man is going to deal with that, I'm not talking to you, get me your man, I need to, better yet, move aside, I'm going to talk to you. That's how I'm going to deal with this. That's just how we deal with shit as men. So if y'all can't understand why this whole interracial dating piece has been allowed to go on with black men, more so than black women, then I don't know what to tell you. When it comes down to maintaining wealth, structure, passing down generational wealth, guess what? White men understand this, and there's a consistent reason to why wealthy white men do not marry, at least not in large. And they only do it in small percentages. Do not marry or procreate with black women. They just don't do it. And at the times when you see them actually do this, there's usually a consistent pattern that takes place. Either number one, they have a white family already produced by a white woman or several white women. Number two, they're typically older. And now they're ready to settle down with a black woman. But they ain't going to give you no damn kids. This is what we typically see. There's a reason for that. As a matter of fact, I believe was it Michael Rappaport, who put out an article years ago saying, well, he was dating black girls back in his high school. He had a high school sweetheart that he never married because he didn't want to go against his parents. As a matter of fact, Crystalline Karazin did a video on this years ago, and she couldn't understand. And this is what I'm telling you, black women. Y'all are listening to people who don't understand the environment. They don't know how to navigate through these environments. This is why Crystalline Carrison didn't understand this. She couldn't understand why these white guys, when they're younger, will date you, they'll sleep with you, but they're not going to marry you, and they're not going to give you children. She couldn't figure that out. Because in her mind, she is so deluded thinking that white guys just want to be with her or just want to be with black women, and that's not the case. Because their top goal and priority is to maintain generational wealth. Now, you can get the average white guy. They'll deal with you. In many cases, they won't deal with you. But you have a better shot with them. Why? Because they ain't passing down a bunch of generational wealth. They're living an average lifestyle just like anybody else. But when it comes down to prominent, wealthy white men, by and large, they will not marry you. They will not procreate with you. They will not give you children. They're just not going to do it. They're not going to pass down generational wealth to you. And the reason why they do this is because their goal is not to pass down generational wealth onto biracial babies. They're not going to do it. Now, maybe they can do it if they can control the narrative. And this is even Cynthia G has conceded to this point years ago that when biracial babies are produced, well, I'm going to go ahead and add on a little something more to that. When biracial babies are produced by wealthy whites who get involved with black women, you can almost guarantee that by the time those children get older, they are going to marry into the white race. I told y'all earlier, you can mix the bloodlines once every 7 generations and breed that black shit out. And this is typically what they do. We'll mix you in, and then we're going to breed you right out. Why do you think Meghan Markle and Prince Harry were not able to stay in the royal house? Y'all were celebrating, thinking this is a great victory. I knew this was going to turn upside down. Because it is not their objective to pass down white wealth, generational wealth, onto mixed biracial babies. They're not going to have that shit. See, like I told y'all, they go into these situations knowing who they are before they get into it, and they know who they are after the situation is all said and done. Which is another reason why you can look at Eve, who is in a marriage with a white man, according to what she stated, has been tamed by that white man. You go figure, a black female saying some dumb shit like that. That she was tamed by a white man. Okay. But at the end of the day, you have no children by this wealthy white man. And you were helping him raise his children that he produced by a white woman. You go figure that out. Make sense out of that. That's what y'all dealing with. These are typically the circumstances that you're going to encounter. Or if some of these wealthy white men marry you, they don't give you no children. So that way, listen, even if you get a little check at the end of the day, if he passes on before you, you don't have nothing that you can pass down onto no generational wealth. It's just not going to happen. This is how they think. See, since you Negroes don't think like this, they outthink you when it comes down to these goddamn strategies, and this is why they promote interracial dating to you. As a matter of fact, I looked at a movie. What was it called? Obsession, I think it was. And I can't think of the actor's name. He was in a movie years ago, back in 2000. I think it was called O. And in that movie, he was a basketball player in high school who lost his mind over a white girl he was with, to the point where I think he ended up getting shot and ended up dying at the end of the movie after he killed his white girlfriend. But he was in this movie Obsession, and I would just say you probably want to go take a look at that movie. And what it showcased, it really is a clear depiction on how you Negroes get played for fools. On how you will put yourself as a sacrificial lamb. And let me just try to sum it up as quickly as I can. Because like I said, this is going to be a long while. I don't know if I said it, but I'm going to say it now. We're going to be here for a little while. So, this movie, he got involved with a white female. And I might critique this later on in another production. He got involved with a white female who was married to a white guy. Long story short, they depicted this white guy. He was just a real great guy in the movie. Because he was doing everything for this black guy to help him get his life together after he was having a hard time. The moral of the story is after this white guy helps him, gives him a place to stay, gives him consistent work, and starts a business, a thriving business that he wants him to run the mechanical department of, or as he was in the process of getting this together, this black guy is fucking this white man's wife. He's fucking her. Now the white wife wants to have her husband killed so she can take over the business that this husband wants to put forth, this dream that he's trying to make happen. Long story short, it was her idea. They go through with the whole idea. They end up killing the man. And eventually it gets to the point where the cops find out that, listen, this is a lie. This wasn't no accident. Y'all staged this, and we know that y'all are involved with this. Long story short, this white female sets him up, convincing him that he had a child at the end of the goddamn, that she was pregnated by his child. But let me just go back to the beginning of the movie for a second. I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible. In the beginning of the movie, how this black man came across the white guy was he actually saved him because there was another white dude who was attempting to rob him at knife point or kill him. And he actually stepped in and saved him, and that's how the two of them became friends. Now that white guy who tried to initially rob the white husband that ends up getting killed later on in the movie, this guy plays a significant role, even though he's only seen throughout 2 scenes in the movie. Long story short, the black dude realizes, okay, you're pregnant. I don't want no son of mine growing up in no institution. So even though he knew that this crime would get you the death penalty, that's what he told her initially when she was talking about, yeah, I want to kill my husband so we can have our dream together with you and I. Well, this can get you the death penalty is what he told her. Even though he knew this, he still took the fall and said, you know what, since you're pregnant, I'm going to go ahead and take the fall. And I'm going to turn myself in. So she sent him pictures of a child, of a black boy, that wasn't even his. It wasn't her. She was never pregnant. And she continued to send him these pictures for years, having him think that he had a son that was growing up and that was going to be healthy, and so forth and so on. Long story short, at the end of the movie, the very same white guy that attempted to rob the white husband, he was the one that was in cahoots with this woman. It was all a setup. And they ended up taking over the enterprise. Mind you now, the black guy took the needle. Ended up getting the death penalty. Come to find out the child wasn't even his. So the moral of that story is he became the sacrificial lamb for this white woman. And some of y'all really might need to go ahead and sit down and look at that movie. And I might go ahead and do a little review on that later on down the line. But it really speaks a lot. Just like another scenario, The Bird Box. That was a Netflix movie that came on back in 2018. And here you had, I forgot, was it Sandra Bullock? I can't remember the woman's name. But she's a famous actress. Been in many movies. White lady. And she was in a movie with this black guy. She had children from a previous relationship with a white man. So these weren't even the man's children. And it was a movie where you pretty much, if you look into the light, you go crazy and you do things or put yourself in a situation where you end up dying. So the thing is, you could not go outside and look into the light. You had to be blindfolded. So at some point in the movie, after he was trying to help her and her kids, and he was raising these kids as if they were his, he came to a point where he was going to sacrifice himself. And he told her, I love you and these kids so much, and I will do anything for you. To the point where he takes off the blindfold and he sacrifices himself in order to save her and her children from whatever was going on. Or her children that she had by a previous relationship by a white man. So kids that weren't even his. I want you to understand how black men are being depicted in these scenarios. That you need to go out here and be the sacrificial lamb for this white woman. Even in a situation where she has children that aren't by you. And here's the ironic part. Many of you Negroes talk about how you won't deal with black women who have children from a previous relationship by a black man. I want y'all to think about that. But here you are being depicted in movies by dealing with white women who don't have children or biracial children by black men, but they got children from whole white men. And you're sitting up here playing stepdad. And you don't see this as a goddamn problem. You don't see how this is a blatant insult to who we are as a goddamn collective. I'm insulted every time I see one of these foolish fucking movies where black men are putting themselves as a sacrifice to go save some white woman. It's insulting. It's disrespectful. In a situation where he has nothing to gain out of it, no legacy to leave behind, but yet you are putting yourself up as a sacrificial lamb. As I've told y'all, there is a reason why they promote interracial relationships to black women, more so than they do to black men. There's a reason for this. Because the goal is to keep you confused. The goal is to keep you working for somebody else's agenda, not yours. This is the same thing I talked about, or it's similar to what I talked about back in 2019 when it comes down to the black Republicans and why I got a problem with y'all. And when y'all sit here and rally with these white Republicans, they're comfortable with you rallying with them as long as your agenda is not a black agenda. So they'll let you go ahead and fight for their causes. As long as you're not fighting for your own cause, they're all right with you. You're cool. You can fit in. But when you start talking about doing things that benefit your causes, benefiting black people, truly giving black people things of tangible substance and benefits, resources, now all of a sudden they got a problem with you. Guess what? You're no longer a part of the group. You're too radical now. This is just what you're dealing with. I take y'all down that long list because I really want y'all to understand this dynamics of interracial dating when it comes down to black men and white women. There's a reason why they promote this so much. They love it. There's a reason why they encourage it. What other race of men do you see actually doing this? None. But white men have a benefit in it, and this is why they promote it. This is why I'm extremely against this when it comes more so for black men than it comes down to the women. You black men especially, like I said, this is the last thing y'all should be doing. Because when you go into these situations, you are psychologically confused. They done fucked up your head 10 different ways from Sunday, and you can't even see it. This is why you had that football player and his black friend saying, cheers to more light-skinned kids, but not one of those white women that were sitting at that table, all of them married to these black men with biracial children, none of them repeated that same shit. Not a single one. And yet we'll put it out here for the whole fucking world to see. Just like when you have a black man sitting in a YouTube video with his white wife, and he's sitting there in a negligee while his wife is fully clothed. And his wife is comfortable with that. Says nothing about it. Lets that go on. See, this is what y'all got to understand when it comes down to this whole interracial dating piece and what you're dealing with. It is to psychologically confuse black men. This is why it would always be promoted more so to black men. Because if you could get these Negroes confused, guess what? We ain't never got to worry about them rising up against us. Why? Because if you don't have a warrior class of men, you're finished. Women are not going to conquer any fucking thing when it comes down to a war with men. It will never happen. It sounds good to y'all. Y'all can believe in these bullshit fucking movies, these great Amazon, Xena the Warrior Princess, or whatever foolishness you want to believe in. It will never happen. I promise you. It won't. It's just not. So now, like I told you, black women, or if I didn't say that before, let me say it now. One of the biggest problems that you have is you don't want to hear the truth. You want to follow things that are of no benefit to you. You want to listen to people give you a bunch of empty symbolism, feel-good moments, and things that amount to absolutely nothing. Now, the question is, you've been doing this for how many years now? Have you been listening to simps and panderers sit up here and tell you all of this false information that is to no benefit of yours? When has it actually benefited you? The fact of the matter is it doesn't. Now, I'm going to give you some examples of just things that I've seen. Like I told you, when it comes down to Amiri Brown and all of these other individuals who recite stats that they read off of an article, that's as far as they go. They don't compare this to real life scenarios to see if this actually even remotely makes sense. They'll just read something off of an article, a link, a news report, and then they'll run with this. This is how they come up with all these stats that are easily debunked. These statistics that don't even remotely make fucking sense. This is the reason why I don't even use that terminology. I stopped using that terminology years ago because it doesn't make any fucking sense. And I'm going to tell you something, black women. Once again, you are following ineffective strategies. One of the biggest reasons why you keep taking a loss is because you follow ineffective strategies rather than listening to people who are actually telling you what you need to hear. And when it comes down to what's going to benefit you, it's not going to come in a pretty package. It's not going to come in a package of flowers telling you how wonderful you are, how your goddess is, and how you rule the earth. No, it's not going to happen like that. People have been selling you that pipe dream and bullshit for the longest. Your results and outcome are still the same. This is why you have all these different gurus out here teaching you pink pill courses. All this foolishness has been going on for over a decade now. But your outcome is still the same. With all the pink pill lessons y'all been buying, with all these other females teaching you femininity courses, has it changed? With all the simps and panderers telling you how great you are and how you're gods, what has changed? As a matter of fact, according to the pink pill a couple of years ago, said that the single out of wedlock rate has only increased. So that lets you know that this shit is ineffective. It's not working. So my question is, at what point in time do you realize this hasn't worked? This is ineffective. And at what point in time do you actually change up the goddamn strategy? This is another reason why I told you I don't follow any conventional religion, no conventional God, or read no scriptures out of no Bible and I don't deal with that. I don't deal with the churches. I realized from a very early age that this is ineffective. If anybody would have asked me what's my religion and what's my God, my religion is what benefits, is my agenda. And my God is what benefits me. If it don't benefit me, don't come to me telling me I need to follow something that is to no benefit to me. I'm going to look at you like you're fucking crazy. This is the way I work. That is the only thing that I subscribe to. Other than that, listen, I'm not here to argue down someone else's belief. If it don't make sense, then it's to no benefit. But far too often, y'all have been backing people up, supporting people, i.e. the black pastors. Y'all still sit up in those damn churches putting money in their goddamn pockets. Your life doesn't change. Only one person in that congregation seems to keep going higher and higher, and it's that black pastor. It ain't you, and you can't see the problem with that. See, this is the part of the issue that you have. You lack foresight. You fail to realize what's not benefiting you is what you need to stop doing. And when somebody tries to tell you this, you will get mad at the person who's trying to tell you this rather than that who is exploiting you. This is why you don't get anywhere. This is why your circumstances are still the same. This is why you don't learn from your damn mistakes. You refuse to accept criticism. And some of the examples that I'm going to give you, in many cases, you don't know how to let things go. In many cases, you walk around with this authoritative mindset over black men. In many cases, far too many black women like to be antagonistic. Rather than letting something go, you will antagonize. And as an example, see, I found myself all up and down the city. And a few times riding public transportation, as one example, I'm sitting in the bus. This woman gets on the bus. She has no money on her card. Either that or the card doesn't work. She's asking the bus operator if she can ride for free. The bus operator says nothing to her. She keeps asking. Eventually, the bus operator just shrugs his shoulders. Still, once again, says nothing to her. She keeps asking. Bus operator says nothing to her. Eventually, she sits down. All right, you figure that's the end of it. We get to the end of the line. And as she's getting off the bus, she comes all the way from the back of the bus to come to the front of that bus to give that bus operator a piece of her mind. I want y'all to think about that. And she proceeds to tell him, if you don't like your job, then I suggest you find a new one. You could have just answered my question. Bus operator still says nothing to her, just looks the other way. Now, mind you, This is a female who just got on a public transportation bus who did not pay. That bus operator didn't say, hey, you need to come back up here and pay your fare. That bus operator didn't tell her, you need to get off this bus and get your money right before you can ride. The bus operator said nothing. Bus operator let her ride for free. Said nothing. Didn't bother to call it in and say, hey, I need a cop to come get her off. He did nothing. He just drove the bus. And instead of her being thankful and saying, you know what, I just rode this bus for free. Bus operator didn't give me a hard time. Forget about the fact that he didn't say anything to me. He's not obligated to talking to me. Now, the bus operator is a black man now. But she figures the need to go to the front of that bus and give him a piece of her mind because she didn't like the fact that he just blatantly ignored her, even though it is not a part of his job responsibilities to allow her to ride that bus for free. Now, you go to any other state, that might be looked at as trespassing. You could potentially get a fine or possibly get locked up for doing some shit like that. So you figure if somebody gets away with that, then you want to remain under the goddamn radar. If you're going to say anything to that operator when you get off the bus, it should have been thank you very much and you have a good day. But no, this black female decided she was going to get up and give him telling him, first of all, you don't like your job. First of all, who likes getting up and going to work 5 days a fucking week? But this is what the dumb bitch said. And you figure the objective would be, let me not make this into an issue. But see, once again, since y'all like to be antagonistic, since y'all like to create problems, when you want to know why you're taking a loss, why you have a lot of these black men, which I don't condone them dating outside the race, but when you want to know where you have a sizable portion of them saying, listen, I don't want to deal with that shit. This is a part of the reason why. And if you can't look at these issues, and first of all, I'm going to give you a good piece of advice right here. Don't sweat the small stuff. Let me say that one more time. Don't sweat the small stuff. Little shit like that, let that shit roll off your fucking shoulder. Why would you get caught up and hung up into a situation like that? Why? And just multiple experiences I've seen riding public transportation. I've seen situations where you have these black women who get into these public transportation vehicles and they start fighting with other men. Now, the one thing that black women are running around talking about is we are the least protected in this country. And then listen, I'm done listening to that argument. It is some of the most foolish shit I have ever heard in my entire fucking life. And I'm sitting back and I'm watching this lady, this black female, fighting with a man. Her and her boyfriend are fighting this guy in the back of the bus. To the point where her boyfriend says, all right, enough is enough. The doors are open. Let's just get the fuck out of here. Enough is enough. And he tries to bring her off the bus, but she goes back into that bus and proceeds to keep fighting with that dude. Here you have a female picking a fight with a grown-ass fucking man. This is what we're dealing with. And y'all sit back and have the audacity to talk about how you're not protected, but when that man told you let's go, when he tried to pull you off the goddamn bus, you still persist to go back there and fight. Not with another woman, but with another goddamn man. Because at the end of the goddamn day, many of y'all don't know how to let shit roll off your goddamn sleeve. Far too many of you feel entitled. And when you conduct yourself like this, listen, a lot of black men are going to say, listen, I'm not dealing with that. And that reminds me of a situation that I went through years ago with an ex-girlfriend of mine. We're talking about a long time ago. And I might have referenced this on YouTube some years ago. And it was a situation where her girlfriend was being approached by these two black dudes. And she made it clear, no, I'm not into black guys. I don't find y'all attractive. So they just started going in on her, talking all kinds of shit. Now, my ex-girlfriend at the time is sitting down, but she talking shit. And I'm seeing that this is only going to continue to escalate. So I step in, I say, listen, my man, just chill. Fall back. Immediately, the problem resolved. The two do, all right, cool, we're going to fall back. We're going to chill. Ex-girlfriend proceeds to keep running her goddamn mouth. After the man that you're with had solved the problem. See, when y'all want to sit up here and talk about you're not being protected, see, when you have a man that's actually protecting you, you shut the fuck up. You stop attempting to be the aggressor. When your man says, all right, fall back, that's it. You keep your mouth shut. And you follow his goddamn lead. When your man is saying, all right, let's go, let's get off this bus, we done fighting, we out of here, you get up and you fucking leave. Far too many of you, since you want to be hypermasculine, since you want to be the aggressor, you proceed to do shit like this. And this is why I say Amiri Brown only looks at stats and recites the very same thing he's read out of an article. He doesn't base this or compare this to real life scenarios to see how does the average everyday black female conduct herself. He doesn't want to talk about that. Because the problem is, and why a lot of you are not protected, is because you want to outdo people when it comes down to being crazy. And I'm not saying this is all of you, but this is unfortunately a sizable portion of you. Now, I'm seeing situations like this all up and down various different parts of New York City. It ain't just in one area. And the ones I've seen thus far causing the most problems in public are the women. This is just what I'm seeing. And little shit that they can let roll off their fucking shoulders. Leave it alone. You know what? I don't need to have the last word in this one. But since y'all always got to have the last word, since you feel you have an authoritative manner, over, especially over black men, y'all do shit like this. So even when your black man is protecting you and saying, listen, I got the situation under control, I got these dudes to fall back, they're chill, sit down and keep your mouth shut. But if you think you're going to outdo me, then listen, don't come to me talking about I'm supposed to protect you. After all, you wanted to outdo me now, didn't you? So now since you figure you can be a goddamn man and you get handled like one, don't sit up and say anything about why I ain't protecting you. There's no benefit in having a man around to protect you if you don't adhere or adhere to his protection. See, many of y'all, like I said, you don't understand when this is just something that flies in over your head. What I'm seeing is you have way too many black women that want to outdo people on craziness. Why and where y'all get that from, I don't know. But y'all do. You want to outdo people on being psychotic when it's not even called for. You have this entitlement mindset to what you have not worked for. And I'm going to give you some more examples. And this goes back to what? Somewhere more than 20 years ago. And I remember on the job I was working, I was sitting in the boss's office. The boss is a black man, and he would have different clients come in and do different work in his office. These two women walk into the office, mother and daughter. I'm 19 years old at the time. The daughter is 28. They go into the other room, and I was standing up to do something, and as I look in the other room, I can just see the daughter's eyes just looking at me. Real aggressive. And I'm thinking to myself, this is kind of weird. Doesn't make any sense. I don't know why she's looking at me. Now, I've seen her before. Never had nothing pleasant to say. Just a matter of straight to the point of what she wants. Why is this not this way? Or why is this not that way? This was a bimbo who was renting a room in a brownstone. The first time I've ever seen her, she's asking, where's the light to my bathroom? I don't know what the fuck you talking about. It's my first time even being here. Why are you even asking me this shit? But this is a part of what actually took place. So this is what I've encountered. So the first encounter with her was unpleasant. I didn't say nothing to her. I just kind of ignored it, rolled off my shoulder. The second time I see her, she's giving me this look. Decides to now make her way out of the room that she was in with her mother, talking with her mother, as I'm sitting down talking with the colleagues and the boss. And she proceeds to walk up to me and says, "You're rude. My mother walked in and you didn't say nothing to my mother." Now, she singled me out. Even though out of all those other men that were in there, she singled me out. You said nothing to my mother, so forth and so on. I'm thinking to myself, where the fuck is this coming from? Another time, and this happened some months later, she so happens to be in the office. Now, I come into the office to go use the bathroom, and I had to grab a couple of supplies to go back to finishing the tasks that I was assigned to do. Now, as I walk in there, I don't know what the hell she was doing. Looked like she was putting some tape on the ground or whatever, but she was bent over with her ass in the air and face down. Now, mind you, I've never had a pleasant encounter with this female, ever. I walk in, I walk right past her, and I go to the bathroom. Now, at this point in time, I can hear her talking shit. I'm so sick of him. He's so disrespectful, so forth and so on. And I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck is this about? So now I'm getting pissed off because I'm like, I ain't even do nothing to you. I'm in here using the bathroom. What the fuck are you? What are you sitting here concerned about? So as I get out, I ask the boss, hey, I need some supplies. I need some tape. He tells her to hand me the tape, so I just grab the tape and I walk off. And now at this point in time, she's livid. Oh, see, this is what I'm talking about. He's so fucking disrespectful. And then the boss says, hey, don't disrespect the lady. Being the simp ass that he was. And I said, well, hold on a second. You got her in here disrespecting me and you said nothing to her. And it didn't dawn on me, why the fuck are you so gun-ho for someone that you don't know, someone that you already had a negative interaction with, and you've never even formally spoken to? Then it started to dawn on me. Now, this is a weave-wearing hood rat who rented a room inside of a brownstone. Her body shape was all fucked up, but for whatever reason in her mind, she thought she was some hot shit. So she must have figured when I seen her and I didn't greet her, it wasn't her mother that she was upset about. She was upset that I didn't greet her. She figured, look at me and all of my gloriousness. You need to acknowledge this. And when she didn't get that response, she felt some kind of way. Likewise, from when I walked inside of that office and she was bent over. She figured, oh, you're supposed to acknowledge all this ass up, face down, ass up in the air. You're supposed to acknowledge that. And since I walked right past it as if it wasn't even there, she felt some kind of way because it didn't validate her. Which leads to what? What I just said a little while ago. How you have a sizable portion of black females who feel entitled to a black man's energy. Just like that black girl that was on the bus who wanted to give the bus operator a piece of her mind. She must have felt some kind of way because she thought, and once again, another weave-wearing hood rat. Weave all dolled up and whatnot. Fake as all fuck. And you figure that bus operator's supposed to be in there drooling over you, and when he's sitting there not even paying you no mind, just staring out the goddamn window, you feel some kind of way. Because you figure you're entitled to his attention. And here's a problem with many of y'all. Many of you feel entitled to what ain't yours. You know what I feel entitled to? I have never felt entitled to a woman's vagina. I have never felt entitled to a woman's body. But see, here's the problem. A lot of these black women have a problem with guys like Kevin Samuels or guys from the manosphere that say, hey, if I pay for a damn date and take you out, take you to the movies, feed you, pick you up, and take you back home, I should be entitled to getting some ass that damn night. See, they have a problem with that. Mind you now, they have a problem with black men who actually worked for something, who actually put something into what they're asking for in return, whether you agree with it or not. These men didn't just walk up to you and say, hey, I'm entitled to some ass. They actually put in work. And you can sit back and say, well, you're not entitled to that. Okay, I will concede that point. And if you believe that, then why do you all of a sudden believe that you're entitled to a man's attention, a complete fucking stranger that you don't even fucking know? Why do you feel a random black man is supposed to acknowledge you in all your glory for whatever the fuck that is? And you ain't putting no work into the goddamn thing. See, this is the problem when it comes down to many of you. And as I told you before, one of the best pieces of advice I can give you, don't sweat the small stuff. And what furthermore confirms their entitlement. What's it, I can't think of the guy's name, but he was in the TV show with, was it Issa Rae? What's it called? Insecure? And there was a photo that I guess that turned out of him in a relationship with a white woman. And the fact that you have black women who have literally taken the time to troll this man, talk all kinds of shit. Now, mind you, he's just sitting in a picture with this woman. He's not saying anything about black women. And yet you will have black women who will go out by large and think that this is cute to troll somebody that you don't know, who has no obligation to you, who you have no authority over, but you think you have the right to have a say-so as far as who he dates. And then you wonder how you fit into the stereotype of where black men are saying, nah, I just don't want to deal with that anymore. And it's unfortunate because I would love to tell brothers, listen, I want to see y'all with these sisters, but listen, I'm going to say this much. The pickings are very slim. Hell, there's quantity, but there's a lack of quality. And this is what y'all don't want to acknowledge. And since many of you are above approach, since many of you refuse to listen to constructive criticism, since nothing is ever your fault, this is another reason why your results have never changed. This is why you're in a predicament right now. I know black men who make a ton of money in good positions that say, nah, I don't deal with them. Oh, she's attractive for a sister, but I leave them alone. Now, what am I supposed to say when these are the examples that they can reference? And when you got black man after black man, I'm just one on one side of the country. But when you have numerous of us from multiple different sides of this country, different time zones, all saying the same shit or similar things, we can't all be fucking wrong. And my question is, at what point in time do black women as a collective begin to actually listen to the reasonable brothers on here who are actually giving you a legitimate critique? This is not a matter of bashing you. This is a critique. If you want to know why your results haven't changed, this is a part of the reason why. Understand, you don't have control. Stop worrying about what you have no control over. Worry about being a better you. Stop worrying about some random black man who's dating somebody outside the fucking race. To sit there and think you can to troll him the same way y'all did with Amiri Hardwick. Y'all did this. I mean, this makes y'all look horrible. Y'all look ridiculous doing shit like this. And see, y'all can listen to the people like Cynthia G, and y'all can listen to her make her endless video series on who black men really choose. She can teach you about the black male pathology and who we really choose. But the one thing she can never teach your black ass is how you can be fucking chosen. So you're not sitting around watching dumbass videos like this. That's the one thing she'll never teach you. She'll teach you all about the black man pathology. But she'll never teach you about how you can actually be chosen. And the fact that so many of y'all will gather around, damn near like you're sitting around a campfire, will gather around bitter females like a Cynthia G, a Nyla Vibes, and the fact that they can get such a large following based off of black women, that right there is mind-boggling. Cynthia G's been on YouTube, like I told y'all, for more than 7 years, more than half a decade, damn near a decade. Your results haven't changed. The pink pill has been on YouTube for over a decade. Your results haven't changed. All of these gurus and coaches have been teaching you shit for a decade or more. The simps and panderers and the manginers and ass worshippers have been telling you that your queens and goddesses, the Amiri Browns, have been on YouTube for years, telling you it's not your fault. What is the common denominator here? The common denominator is simple. Your results are still the same. As a matter of fact, they're getting worse according to the pink pill. Because one of the problems that we have amongst black women is, listen, we understand that there are going to be negative stereotypes. The problem that I have more so than the stereotypes that are put out here by white mainstream media outlets is the fact that you have so many black women who want to outdo those. You don't want to live up to that stereotype. You wish to outdo that stereotype. So instead of giving it 100%, you will give it 200%. Oh no, if you say that we're not a good choice in marriages, we're going to just show you and live up to that tenfold. Y'all double down on this. Y'all triple down on it. And this is a part of the reason why. You have had brothers who have gotten online years ago saying, listen, you're making it very difficult for us to defend you. This is another reason why brothers by large won't do it, because it's not much to work with. There's not much that you can actually defend. If you try to defend the collective of black women, you're going to make yourself look ridiculous. This is not a matter of bashing you. This is a matter of giving you constructive criticism. You can listen to people telling you what you want to hear And you've been doing this for a long time, but the outcome is still the same. At what point in time do you change up the goddamn strategy and realize this shit hasn't worked? This is an ineffective strategy. This is one of the biggest reasons why you find yourselves in the predicaments that you're in, is because you follow ineffective strategies. And the minute you start learning how to identify a strategy that is ineffective, something that does not work, something that is designed to keep you on a fucking hamster wheel so you go absolutely nowhere, the sooner you can identify that and be able to rectify that, that will be the sooner you can actually change your goddamn outcome. You see, what everyone else is telling you about situations, interracial dating, they're not going to tell you what I just broke down for you in this production. They're going to tell you about the wall and a bunch of stupid shit that meaningless shit, means nothing. That's why I don't even talk that wall shit. It's fucking retarded. I can give you a legitimate reason as of why wealthy, successful white men, by large, do not marry or procreate with black women. And the simple answer is this: you cannot pass down generational wealth onto white hands by doing it through black women. You can't do it. This is why they don't do it. That is the simplest reason. It's not nothing to do with your goddamn looks, even though you botch up your fucking looks with all this ridiculous shit that y'all do. But that's not the reason why. You want to know why a sizable portion of brothers are saying, nah, I just don't even want to deal with these sisters anymore? One of the reasons why is we don't have any influence over you. You don't value our opinions. We tell you we got a problem with something. We tell you, listen, we're tired of y'all wearing these fucking weaves and this glued in the fucking hair. Y'all double down on that shit. Like I told y'all, a negative stereotype, y'all want to turn it tenfold. You want to make it into a trending thing. Y'all, how many of y'all are out here wearing shower caps and trying to make that a trending thing in public? The only other race of women that I see starting to follow behind this are the Hispanics that come from black societies. I've never seen white women doing this. I've never seen Hispanic women doing this. I've never seen Indian women doing this. But I will find black women doing this stupid shit on a regular basis, thinking it's cute, posting pictures looking like this. This is the shit y'all do. And you wonder why your circumstances haven't changed. Now let's go ahead and get into the next set of clips here. We know what this is. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can do this real fast.
Oh, Senator Mac. Vote Senator Mac.
Again.
Vote Senator Mac.
All right. Let's make sure I mute this. So when you want to know why your image is what it is, this is a part of the reason. Now, I will say this much. This is a part of creating a stereotype, all right? And a stereotype would merely just be a stereotype that would hold no weight to it if there wasn't legitimate examples in cases actually backing this up. I already know that this is a female who was put out here as a goddamn puppet to push this LGBTQ agenda. All right. But here you have a sitting senator who decided to post this video of her booty popping on a handstand for the 4th of July. Now, let me just say this much. If this were a matter of her making this video and she was just doing it to have it on the archives in her phone just for fun, I wouldn't care. It would mean nothing to me. But according to what she stated, she did this purposely and posted it on TikTok because she was trying to find a reason to go viral. Now, this actually coincides with the mindsets of many of you black women. And as I told y'all, if it comes down to a negative stereotype, somebody puts it out about you, you want to live up to it tenfold. You have to outdo it. You have to supersede it. And this is exactly what we are looking at right here. Now, if it was just her doing some shit like this, if this was just one in a million, fine. We could just dismiss her altogether. But this represents a large mind frame of black women. Now, we know that she's a part of the LGBT community. She's a sitting senator. All right? And I'm going to tell you this much. Her days are numbered. They're numbered. When I looked on her Twitter for the amount of signatures that she needed in order to get her name on the ballot, she needed 250 signatures. She only got 55 by the time July 15th rolled around. So she didn't even get half. This is how insignificant she has become. Maybe she always was, but it really just damaged her reputation that much more. And what she is being used as is the perfect crash test dummy. Because what's going to happen now, because she tried to push forth this pleasure-based sex bill into schools for teenagers. This is a black woman. A clown at best. And what's going to happen here is she was complaining that when she was being attacked, when people were ridiculing her bill, not one Democrat actually reached out to her to find out whether she was okay. And it makes perfect sense on why they wouldn't. Why? Because you have been used. You're being played for a goddamn fool. They decided to let you be the perfect crash test dummy. You remember what I told you earlier when it came down to the white couples trying to recruit me for a cuckold session. And I know that's what that was. Because there's no way you're going to sit up here and talk that much trash to your white husband in front of a black man based off of his whiteness, if that's not what you're trying to do. And that becomes the angle. Talk trash about the white man, put him down, and let's see if he'll go for it. Let's see if he'll come home with us and we'll have a cuckold session. But what they do is they'll use the white woman as the means to go out here and catch the fish. What's the fish? The black man that you're trying to recruit. The white woman is the bait. Why? Because if the black man is cool with it, then fine. Then the white guy can let it know what his agenda was the whole damn time. I wanted her to get you to come home with us. That was our agenda. We wanted this to happen. So I'm glad that you're on board. Let's go ahead and get back to our place and we can get this shit cracking. But now, if it doesn't work out, and like I said, if it works out, okay, we can roll with this full steam ahead. If it doesn't work out, by that logic, if that black man is uncomfortable, which I was, then all of a sudden, okay, I can just, all right, honey, just stop. Honey, why are you doing this? This is ridiculous. He'll act as if he's surprised, and I'm so hurt by what you're doing in front of me now. So he doesn't seem as if he was a part of this and complicit with this the whole goddamn time. But as soon as they get in a place where they're not around me or around that black man who wasn't on board with that shit, rats. He didn't go for it. We'll have to just try this again. You're getting too old, honey. That's essentially what you're dealing with. You can kind of lump that up into this scenario here. You've had sexual deviants getting involved with politicians for years. White politicians who don't want to let it be known where their position really lies. So what they'll do is they'll go ahead and they'll get a black female who will have no problem being the perfect crash test dummy. Meaning when you're a crash test dummy, we don't give a fuck what happens to you. If you crash and burn, whatever. You're the crash test. It's kind of like the canary in the coal mine. You send the canary down there because if the canary dies, okay, you're of no value to us. What's of value are the workers who have to go down to that coal mine and get that work done. So we're going to send you down there first. If you live, okay, it's full steam ahead. We can go ahead and we can start mining. But if you die, all right, well, it's going to be no sweat off our fucking back. And at least we didn't sacrifice one of our own. So they'll have no problem sending her out here as a sacrificial lamb to push this sex bill in these damn schools. And what goes down behind this, if people are on board with it, guess what? Fine, everything worked out well. Fine, we can use you to push other agendas. We don't got a problem with that. We will keep you because you're useful. But if they reject this agenda, then behind that, listen, we don't have nothing to do with her. She's on her own. This is another reason why she's complaining that the Democrats aren't backing her. Nobody bothered to see whether I was okay. Why? Because you are that canary in the coal mine. If you get the job done, that's perfectly fine. If not, you are just a goddamn bait. We don't give a fuck if you don't come out of this in one piece. That's on you. We'll just disconnect ourselves from you. And she's too stupid to realize that. And here's what I'm going to say about this, black women. A lot of y'all need to speak out against this. A lot of y'all need to shut it down and make this perfectly clear that we don't rock with this shit. This is not our image. Don't depict us in this limelight. Because by your silence, well, we might be able to conclude that you condone this. But this is your image now. See, black women used to tell me years ago, do you expect us to go ahead and say something about every black woman who's out here doing something ratchet? But y'all had a problem when black men were doing it. See, here's the goddamn deal. I'm not going to get out and speak out against this. I'm going to let y'all do that. This is damaging to your reputation. So this means you need to get out here and make sure that this doesn't go viral. Or make it, well, it already went viral. But you need to make it be known that you don't align with this. You just don't. And like I said, if she was just one in a million, we can say, all right, no big deal. But the fact that we can find example after example of black women doing crazy shit like this, now it's more than just a goddamn stereotype because you're actually living up to it. Now, as I told y'all, many of y'all want to outdo people on crazy. But let me just go ahead and go down these screenshots really fast. Because, I mean, just first of all, look at that. What the fuck is that on her ass? Is the first thing I want to know. Before I go any further, let me do this. I'm going to pause. All right. I'm damn near 3 hours into this. But as I stated, I forgot my train of thought. But let me just go ahead and say this because I want to wrap this up real soon. A problem that we have when it comes down to black women is you will continue to breathe life into negative stereotypes instead of disproving those stereotypes, instead of showcasing that you are not like this, instead of showcasing that you are not hyper-masculine. This is something that Amiri Brown alluded to in one of his live streams, is that, oh, y'all want to call black women masculine, and where do they get that from? They get it from black men. See, he can't even make sense out of what the fuck he's saying. He just throws some blank, bold statement out here, and it can't substantiate it. So the examples that I've given you of a black woman fighting with a black man on a bus, that's hyper-masculinity that she got from a black man, huh? Even though it was a black man trying to pull her apart. The fact that you have black women that like to be antagonistic, making nothing into something, looking to create a problem when a black man is merely trying to do his job like driving a fucking bus. And just as an example, with that whole bus operator situation, when I seen that taking place, you know, when you're in a public transportation vehicle and you got a bus operator, a train operator, or anybody who's operating a piece of equipment that conveys countless people a day, that's a huge responsibility. That's a huge responsibility. The one group of people that you should not be giving a hard time to are those who actually transport you from day in and day out. Because they got the lives of everybody, everyone who's in that vehicle, their life is in that operator's hands. So when you see a black female deciding she wants to get up and give this bus operator a piece of her mind because she didn't like the fact that he wouldn't grant her a free ride, which is something, once again, that he is not obligated to do. And instead of her being thankful, see, the bigger picture should have been, well, I got to my destination safe. I'm here safe and sound. And that should be all that matters. See, all of that completely flies over their fucking head. Logic flies over their fucking head. And their emotions set in and cause them to do what they do. Since many of you fail to control your emotions, and since you want to live up to being loud, obnoxious, hyper-masculine, aggressive, this is why these stereotypes are not just stereotypes, but in many cases, this is true. Now, I want to make it perfectly clear. This is not toward all black women. But unfortunately, when there are various different parts of one city where you can see black women doing shit like this, and the eyes of countless people can see this, what is that going to say to other people? When you have this going on and other brothers saying this all across the country, different parts of the nation, what does that say? And like I said, you choose to outlive negative stereotypes. Now, I don't think I need to talk no more about this crazy heifer right here. But this is supposed to be a sitting senator. And look at what she's talking about. Twerking for all of these. Boy. And she's at a pride parade taking pictures like this. She's supposed to be a sitting senator, should be representing herself in some kind of a position of authority, but looks feeble. Looks like she's in a subservient position here. Why? Everyone has clothes on except her. She's damn near half naked. What else do I say? All right. I'm going to let y'all look at that in a minute too. As I've told you, if you want to know how negative stereotypes take place, this is why. Because you have black women trying to outdo people on craziness. But let me let y'all see exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh. All right, here we go. We'll play this again so that you can hear his fantasy.
You know what would happen? We would have an abundance because the women that are gone, men wouldn't have to produce for all the men and all the women. All the men would just have to produce for the men. We would have overflow because we wouldn't have to carry you guys anymore. That's the truth. Can you at least acknowledge that? That's simple math. If you guys disappeared like that, the men who are already producing at 80% wouldn't have to produce for 51% of women. That means all the additional water that women were drinking, all the food would still be there. Men would have plenty.
Would you now?
Uh-oh. Can you at least give me that? I'd have to do it because we're already doing it, man.
All right. Let me pause that for a second. So this is a YouTuber that goes by the name of Tanya TKO. She's been on YouTube for a long time, longer than I've been on YouTube. As a matter of fact, when I first got on YouTube, I made a response video to a video that she had made back in 2011. And listen, she's critiquing Kevin Samuels. This was a video she did last year. Now listen, if you want to critique Kevin Samuels, that's perfectly fine. That's not the reason why I'm showcasing this. I'm showcasing this so y'all can see, give y'all some more content of what she's getting ready to say here and why this is so problematic. But she is a prominent YouTuber. I believe has over 100,000 subscribers. Has a large following. She's known pretty well. She's pretty well known, and this is a black woman. So let me just let y'all keep listening.
All right, you all heard that for yourself. Well, who didn't hear it? Candace is saying I didn't hear it. Candace, you have to turn up your volume. This is the world you want to live in, where men don't have to share their resources with women and the children that they produce. This is your king. This is ridiculous. So look. F homophobia, it exists in the animal kingdom. Yes, it does. This isn't about homophobia, sir. Even you, as a homosexual man, you still came through a womb. Even as a homosexual man, listen, let me ask the homosexual men in the audience. Homosexual men, please answer. How many years would you want to live on this earth if there were no women? How many years as a homosexual man would you want to live on this world with no women? The issue is, Sir Gonjo, right? The issue is that he is preaching to men and young boys who are heterosexual, who are hoping to have relationships with women. And he is teaching them from a space of not wanting to have a world with women. That's dumb. Do you hear? That's dumb. That's dumb. Listen, Deep Patch is saying, calling him gay will not shut him up, just shaming tactics. And he's saying, so 80% of the men are producing. I don't know what he's talking about. Look, I just want you to see. These are the men. You see them, right? So ladies, look, just divest. Abort and divest. Edwin is saying, I love my wife. It will hurt me if I didn't have her. Of course not. Where are all the gay men? Gay men are... So ladies, look, just divest. Abort and divest. Just divest. Abort and divest.
All right. All right. There you have a prominent YouTuber. Let y'all listen to that in slow motion one more time.
Just divest. Abort and divest.
Here you have a prominent YouTuber, a black woman, talking about aborting and divesting. And what are they talking about when it comes down to aborting? Aborting black male babies. You see, black women, at the beginning of this production, I told you, do not allow yourselves to be depicted as the face or the leading charge of this movement. I understand everybody has their mixed feelings about it, and I'm not here to critique that. What I am telling you is do not place yourself at the center or spearleading the movement of abortions. Because this is something that, you have a prominent female YouTuber who is talking about aborting black male babies. Now, when I told y'all want to outdo every other race when it comes down to crazy, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Now, this talking point about aborting black male babies started up with Kendall St. Charles, also known as Brooklyn Blue. This was on a Crystalline Karazin panel that she did back in 2016 after she had that backlash with the Veganator. And as far as I'm concerned, she's the one who initially started this whole thing up. Then it got passed down to Cynthia G. And here you have Cynthia G, who has been trying to revive this talking point. Hashtag abort and divest. Y'all see, the thing is, when you put hashtag, that means you're trying to get this to go viral. Now, when you talk about abortions, that's a very sensitive topic. But let me tell you this much right now. Most women that go through abortions, it is emotionally traumatizing for them. In many cases, they're not the same again. And yet you have a group of females, black women at that, who are sitting around telling black women ever so casually to just abort black male babies. I want you to understand how psychotic that shit sounds. Now, I just told you how you have many women who, that's a traumatizing experience for them. In certain cases, they do it because they have no other choice for whatever circumstances. It's the conclusion that they come to, and it's the only logical conclusion that they could think of. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to give my opinion when it comes down to abortion. I'm a kind of both. I play devil's advocate on both sides because there's some things that I see and there's some things that I disagree with. But it is a traumatizing experience. I know women who have gone through this, and it's nothing that they're proud of. It's something that they could undo it. They would rather undo it. But in many cases, you could just simply ask the question, if you're tired of dealing with black men, then why not just stop having sex with black men? It's pretty fucking simple. Put on a goddamn condom if you're going to do so. See, that's not the answer. Now, this video took place a year before this whole Roe v. Wade overturn came about. Cynthia G has been saying this at least a year before this whole overturning of Roe v. Wade. And yet you have black women who are sitting up trying to make this into a viral talking point, a trending topic. We need to abort black male babies in order to save the black community. This is the retarded shit that you have black women trying to make viral. And when you wonder why I'm saying no, when it comes down to negative stereotypes, you want to outdo everybody else on crazy. I told y'all initially how the black woman got to where she was. Your initial teacher was the white feminist. She's the one that taught you all the psychotic bullshit, but she doesn't run along the same lines that you do. She would rather put your black ass out here and have you take the goddamn fall. Because white women aren't having a hard time getting with white men the same way y'all do when it comes down to black men. But they have no problem backing you when you get out here and talk crazy like this. But when the fall comes, when you take a crash and burn, guess what? They're nowhere to be found. And when somebody comes up with an idea that's outright psychotic, instead of black women saying, oh no, that we can't take it that far. Now let me rephrase, let me go ahead and just put this out here. Because you do have black women who came out here and took a stand against this and said no. So you do have some who have done this, but we need to see more. Because when you can sit up here and try to make this talking point go viral, that is let me say this much. I've been on YouTube for quite some time, and I ain't never seen no shit like this in my life. I've seen females do some crazy things. Some that are crazier than the talking points of what we're hearing about. But you don't find them trying to make this shit trending. But the one thing I have never seen or witnessed in all my years of living, I have never seen any other race of women sitting on a public or a social media platform having public live streams talking about how they can abort the males of their fucking species. That is some sinister, demonic, evil shit, but none beyond the lights that I've ever fucking seen in my life. As a matter of fact, you have the brother Reg Supreme, who played an audio clip from Nyla Vibes. And here you had this crazy bitch sitting up on a live stream talking about, well, we need to have post-abortions. What is a post-abortion? That means after the baby was born. We need to come up with some laws where we can have post-abortions. So that means you're going to carry the baby in your stomach for 9 months at a time, give birth to the baby, and once the baby, now we're not even talking about abortion, we can't even, the argument can't even be made whether this is safe to do so or not. I mean, abortion, when you're killing a child, there's nothing safe about that, period. But you can't even, there's no moral grounds that you could use to argue this. You can't say, well, I can't take care of the child. You can't say, well, it was a rape baby. No, you're talking about having post-abortions. I told you that women have, they go through psychological trauma just by having an abortion. Many who regret that shit. And here you have black females, and like I said, it's bad enough if you're talking about aborting black male babies, but they always want to outdo themselves. They want to outdo everybody when it comes down to crazy. This is what you're dealing with when it comes down to black women. Post-abortions. That's straight up fucking murder. So now that you have a child, you're talking about killing an innocent baby all because it's a black male. How fucked up in the head do you have to be in order to say some shit like that? But
just divest. Abort and divest.
there you go. There you have it. So black woman, when you want to know why your reputation is in the toilet the way it is, this is the part of the reason why. When you have heifers like this speaking up on your behalf, talking crazy shit, and you don't check that bullshit, that's a serious fucking problem. Y'all can say what y'all want to say about Kevin Samuels. Y'all can say what y'all want to say about dudes in the manosphere. I have never seen a group of black men sitting up on a goddamn panel talking about how we can abort and have post-abortions of black girls. And what this also demonstrates is, for those of you who think like this, you're fucking cowards. You don't have the heart to go after whatever black man hurt you or did you wrong. You ain't gonna do that. So your next step is to go after innocent babies. This crazy bitch Nyla Vibe sat up here and talked about how, well, when you got to look this demon in the eye and feed it and nurture it and change its diaper. She's talking about a fucking child as if it's a demon when the real demon is her. And the fact that a Cynthia G channel who has resurrected this talking point. See, the thing is, years ago, back in 2016, when black men were picking up on this and we were taking the clips and replaying it from Crystal Carrison's live stream, I might not agree with much of what she says. I don't have to like her. But she was smart enough to know that, no, this cannot go viral. I got to take this shit down. And so she did. This is a part of the reason why you had the divestment movement, which is completely done for now. She's now, what was it? You had the initial creators of that movement, which were Crystal and Carrison, Simone 5-6, and I believe Kendall St. Charles, who want nothing to do with that movement. Because you psychopathic bitches went ahead, and this is what you diluted it with. I mean, it's fucked up enough in itself as it is. But when you start talking about aborting black male babies, that's a whole nother level of sickness. And like I told y'all are the only race of women that are sitting on public panels talking stupid shit like this. The whole fucking world can see this. Tanya TKO is a viral YouTube channel. And let me say this, a popular YouTube channel who would have no problem putting some stupid shit like this in a goddamn video, in a fucking live stream, because she doesn't like what Kevin Samuels is saying, number one, and then the black men who are going on to her live streams and her chat boxes defending him. She doesn't like that. So her answer to solving that problem is abort and divest. See, if you're just divesting, that means you don't even deal with black men. So there's no reason to abort anything. They could just simply give you a strategy like that. But see, they're so psychologically fucked up in the head that that's not enough to just say, walk away from these type of dudes. It's not enough for them to say that. They got to take it to a sinister level. Because this is how fucked up these bitches are. It's not about actually going and finding a better option. There's a deep-rooted issue when it comes down to many of you. And as much as I might not like it when I see brothers saying, listen, I just don't even deal with them anymore. Keyword, anymore. So at one point, meaning these brothers actually dealt with you and they just got tired of going through the bullshit. I've come across countless brothers who have said this. And as much as I would like to say, hey, you need to stop messing with these other girls and deal with these nice sisters over here, there's not really much to work with. I would make myself look stupid telling these brothers, man, listen, you need to go ahead and get with some of these sisters, because if you're going to deal with somebody who's going to be combative, who's going to be abrasive, who's going to attempt to overtalk you, who thinks she's better than you, I don't advise no man to deal with that. And that's just a few things. When you factor that in with everything else, including what we are looking at right here. And many of these aren't hood rats. These aren't the bottom of the barrel. But you got college-educated females sitting up talking this shit, who are respected amongst black women, who are supported amongst black women. Don't have to go ahead and work a 9-to-5 anymore because they got enough support on Patreon, Cash Apps, and fucking, super chats from who? Black women. The fact that a Cynthia G channel can go as viral the way it has and get over 100,000 subs, where most of you black women, damn near every last one of you, know who this psychotic bitch really is. And the thing is, she can produce no tangible results for you. She herself couldn't even keep a man in her fucking life. She got involved with Robert Perkins. He ain't want nothing more to do with her. She got a child about to do. He won't even defend her. Like I told you, she could sit here and teach you about black male pathology and who they really choose, but the one thing she can never teach you is how to be fucking chosen. And at what point do you begin to realize this strategy is ineffective? At what point does it start to dawn on you that, no, I do not need to have abortion of black male babies deliberately and casually that does not need to be tied upon my reputation as a black woman? When does that start to dawn on y'all? See, the fact that y'all give this so much support, I mean, there's no way for me really to debunk the stereotypes that people are saying about you. So people just want to say that you're ratchet and ghetto. Oh no, you want to outdo that? No, we're more than ratchet and ghetto. We're sinister, we're vile, we're fucked up in the head. We'll sink to any fucking low, have no moral values. Because anybody who can sit up and talk some shit like that, let alone somebody co-signing that shit, you have no moral values. You have no principles. You have no limitations. There's no point to where you actually stop. And this is one of the biggest problems amongst black women. Many of you don't know when to simply stop. Let it go. Somebody hurt you, go deal with your fucking issues. All right? Everyone is going through something in this fucking life. That's just what it is. Pick up your goddamn panties and go deal with your fucking issues like a damn woman. Because this shit y'all sit around and do, I mean, this is unexplainable. Because if you have aborting of black male babies becoming synonymous with your reputation, and now, hold on, let me go ahead and just back up for a second. Funding abortions like your life depends upon it. What do you have right here? This is what's becoming synonymous with your reputation. What do you think is going to happen? And then when Kristen Harrison says, well, the single unmarriage rate for black women has only gone higher. Why do you think that is? When this is what y'all are sitting around embracing, when this is what you're co-signing, when you're co-signing females like this, this is what you end up with. See, Cynthia G, Nyla Vibes, the rest of these bitter bitches who sit around talking stupid shit like this, psychotic shit out of their fucking mouths. These are bitter, angry females. They know it. They're failures in their relationship. Men that collectively don't want to deal with them. This is why they can't present one. They don't have none. The most that Nyla Vibes can have is that fuck nigga Taz that she's with. And as far as Amiri Brown and Taz exclusives are concerned, the two of you are the same sides of one fucking coin. Or two sides of the same damn coin, excuse me. I don't see why you got to beef with them. As far as I'm concerned, the two of y'all, if I put y'all the two in the bag and shook y'all up, you will come out hugging each other. Words of the late, great David Carroll. So when I sit back and I listen to this, y'all beefing, y'all espouse the same fucking shit. Pandering to black women. You don't hold them accountable behind nothing they do. Nothing is their fault. It's the black man's fault. Well, at the end of the damn day, y'all been saying this shit for long enough, and you've had plenty of Negroes way before you saying the same shit years ago. At the end of the day, where are the results? Show me the change of outcome. Oh, that's right, the outcome is still the same. And when y'all sit around and y'all gather around individuals like a Cynthia G, what people like that do, they know how to prey upon the emotions, the unstable emotions of many of you black women. They know how to prey upon this. And they manage to harness your anger. This is how they're able to cultivate so many of y'all onto these damn panels. And y'all listen to them as if they're somehow the truth. But once again, like I told y'all, they can lead you to no tangible benefits, no tangible results. They get you to support them and push their agenda, which is making them money, which is what they're getting by many of y'all. So it speaks volumes when it comes down to a lot of you black women. But at the end of the goddamn day, they couldn't teach you how to benefit and change your outcome, because that's not what they're about. So yeah, it might feel good to sit around listening to a Cynthia G, a Nyla Vibe say such sinister shit because you think you're getting at black men. No, this is furthermore damaging your reputation, because these are well-known YouTubers, and these videos, in many cases, get thousands, if not millions, of goddamn views. So you go figure. You let this become synonymous with your reputation. You can sit here and blame black men for this, but this is not our fault. We ain't gonna take the goddamn blame for this. And at the end of the goddamn day, as much as I would love to see brothers with black women, at the end of the damn day, if this is what they got to deal with, what men really want is a woman that's gonna give cooperation, a woman that's gonna comply, a woman that's not gonna be frictional, resistance. We don't need that. We go through enough shit day in and day out than to sit around and listen to some belligerent female tell us how we're dominated, conquered, how we haven't built any goddamn thing. Guess what? But then we just not gonna build it for you. That's what's gonna happen. And from the looks of it, it's not only black men, but it's other races of men that most certainly won't build for you. So you can sit up and listen to all of these other groups of women talk about how dating outside the race and how it can benefit you. But listen, that's an individual strategy. Now, many of you Few will be successful at it. Many of you, far too many of you, will not. That's just the reality. And once you factor in the dynamics that I've already broken down for you, then you understand why that is. You can think you're divesting from black men. Anybody who's truly divested don't even sit around talking about what black men are doing. You ain't trolling black men or who they're dating. Because these brothers who are out here in their relationships with whoever, rest assured, they're not thinking about you. Amari Hardwick is not thinking about you. So when you're trolling his wife and doing other stupid shit, that man is not thinking about you. At the end of the day, the best advice I can give many of y'all is worry about what you have control over. You don't have control over a complete stranger and what they choose to do, who they choose to date, whether they choose to say hello to you or acknowledge you bent over with your ass in the air. You don't have any say-so over that. You're not entitled to somebody else's energy. You're not entitled to somebody else's time. You are not entitled to a man's resources. You're just not. And the thing is, the individuals that I'm talking about, they're not married to anybody. They ain't got men in their lives, but they feel entitled to a complete stranger. And that is some of the most bizarre, just craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. This antagonistic behavior. Oh, he doesn't get a chance to walk away from me. This ends on my terms. Listen, at the end of the damn day, leave that shit alone. Because people aren't going to go through that. They're just not. You start learning how to change that, that'll be the day when these stereotypes become nothing other than a goofy ass stereotype that holds no weight to it. But when we can see you doing this, when we can see you having talking points of aborting and divesting, like
divest, abort and divest.
when you got talking points like this.
So ladies, look, just divest, abort and divest.
When you got talking points like this going viral, just understand, you were not only living up to negative stereotypes, but you were outdoing those negative stereotypes. And you're putting this on display for the entire world to see. I don't want to hear about how you're not being protected when this is the shit you do. I don't want to hear about how you're not being protected when you don't embrace true protection and know how to stay in your place when you are receiving that protection. I don't want to hear how these black men are choosing other races because they're weak and so forth and so on. And maybe that's true. But when you are not presenting yourself to be the better option, then it's like many of these brothers said in the past, you ain't giving them much to work with. You're making it very difficult for a lot of these brothers to defend you. Now, you can sit up here and you can listen to the panderers. It's the same thing the Democratic Party does. They'll pander to you, but there's no tangible results. Nothing that directly benefits you or even indirectly benefits you, but they'll tell you a bunch of feel-good moments. You can listen to that, you can run with that, and you can think that this is going to actually change things. I challenge you. Look at the results. Look at the outcome. Years later, you're still on the same treadmill, the same hamster wheel that you've been on for far too long. Because like I told you, at the end of the goddamn day, I don't care about nothing else. If it doesn't align with my agenda, and if it doesn't benefit me, I don't waste my time following that which serves me no benefit. And until you learn how to start actually thinking like that, will be the moment you actually can start to actually change the circumstances within your life. And with that being stated, that's all I got to say in this production. And I'll catch you on a later date.